episode 97. We are in the middle of Women in Horror Month, and we are
Get me out of here!
I'm Dave Z. Go ahead. Speak up, my man. Is your
Grimsby, a.k.a. Top of the Bops.
He's drinking tonight, everybody. My name is Christian, and I'm not, so I'll be awake.
For the moment. Indeed.
For the moment.
Yeah.
Two special, very special guests.
Yes. Well, go ahead. Bring them in. You do it for once. Bring them in.
Well, I like when they bring themselves in because then they can toot their own horns and tell us what they're all about. So why don't we start with who I'm pointing to right now?
That's Carly, right?
I'm Carly.
Go ahead, Carly.
Hello, I'm Carly, everybody. It's good to be here.
Hi, everyone.
It's Heather's turn. Go ahead.
I'm Heather from the Friday Nightmares podcast. Just started it, so listen to my podcast, please. That's my shameless plug.
Oh, I should have plugged everything.
Yeah, plug your stuff,
I was
Carly.
gonna plug
I
everybody,
dropped the
but-
ball. I dropped the ball. I thought you would do that at the end. Okay. Yeah, I'm Carly. I'm from the His and Hers movie podcast I do with good old JP once a week. The Movie versus Movie podcast I do with Mr. Austin Schroyer from the Woodsboro Bros podcast, and Celluloid Dissections Cinema Attack presents Celluloid Dissections.
Nobody
got
knows
it, you
that
got
show
it, you
anyway.
got it.
Which I do with, of course, Mr. Derek, and also Netflix and Chill, which we're kind of on. I don't know what we're doing with that, but it still exists. But
Chilling.
Okay,
yeah,
Venom.
it's there.
How
So
many more podcasts you want to mention?
Female Venom, everybody. Yeah.
that's about it.
Hey, I'm happy.
Pop one
because
on,
once
she's
upon a
probably on
time-
it.
It's gonna be there, and I'm sure by the end of this recording, Heather's gonna have 2 more herself. You know, even though
It
she's
happens
relatively
fast
new.
nowadays.
That's right. Well, yeah, relatively new is fair to say, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you did a lot of guest spots, but then the Friday Nightmares has only had 1 official released. Am I correct? Or is it
Yeah,
2
our
now?
second one's coming up this weekend, either today or tomorrow. And I've been on It's Not Horror Okay. I am a co-host on that, but that's a commentary. That's
Yeah,
a little
field
more
shows
easy to
don't
do.
count.
No,
Yeah,
they
field
don't. They
stuff.
don't. They're fun. They're good times.
That's
And
a
I've been on
ripoff,
Kill the
too.
Cast, and I've worked with Carly and Derek as well, and doing more stuff. I'm really happy to be here. I've listened to your first episode and a couple other. Your first one was my favorite, and also the one where Dave talked about sucking a dick. That was my other favorite episode that he talked about.
What was
Yeah,
that?
I forget which one that was, that he would do it for money, but I thought that was absolutely
He
hilarious.
did that.
Oh,
He did that on the
Right?
first
Do you
video
remember that one,
episode.
Dave?
He actually did it on the
I've
first
said it-
video episode.
I've said
So-
really. I've said it many times, so it could be here, there. I've said it at work. It's a fact. So yeah.
You guys are hilarious. I love it. I love listening to your show, and I'm so happy to be here.
Me too. Me too.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank
change
you.
that by the end.
And maybe I just won't be listening anymore.
It's weird to be here because I have listened to every episode, and I never thought it's weird to actually get on an episode where you've listened to the entire show and now you're just
Yeah.
like in it.
Everyone wants to swim with the big boys.
They do.
I'm just kidding.
Right,
I
right.
said that
I
before.
had to
Well,
be
Carly-
pretty jealous when I told them I was going to be on this show. There was some hurt feelings that I had to deal with. So
Tell Moody he's never getting. Tell Veal he's never getting on.
He was on the bonus
Theo's
episode.
been here.
He has been here. It looked like he
Veal?
was fucking podcasting from the moon, but he's been here. He was on
Oh,
it.
yeah.
He was like this. He's like, and then I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? And he sounded like he was like AM radio.
well, he is
Was that
old,
the Mike
so that
Merriman?
kind of makes sense.
You look like the Mike Marion profile picture a second ago. There it is.
It's awesome.
Nice. It looks like a lowly worm. You guys remember? You guys know who a lowly worm is?
No, I don't know
No
who
clue.
Lily Worm is.
No.
Oh,
No.
Let me go again.
We're
Lowly. There
young.
used to be. Huh? You know it?
Yeah, we don't.
Oh,
What is that,
Lowly
1950s
Worm.
cartoon?
no. They were these books that were written in the 80s, and they were
Lowly
Richard
Worm.
Scary. You guys
Oh,
never seen-
I know Richard Scary is.
Yeah, he had the world of this and that. There was all kinds
Yeah.
of different animals and whatnot. Yeah,
Before
well,
that?
Lowly Worm was one of those animals, or it was a worm. And see, that's what he looks like. Can you see it?
Oh, well, yes.
Yeah.
There it is.
Oh, I
Mike
remember
Freeman. That's
him.
what that picture reminds
Yeah.
me
What the
I'm
fuck
not
is this
familiar.
Lowly Worm.
That's okay, Carly. You're not missing.
of.
Yeah, how about getting it in frame there? Hey, you want to see what I'm drinking? Look. Look, it's over here.
It's bigger than JP.
Oh, boy.
I was a Viola Swamp fan. Did anyone ever read those books? With the
Viola
teacher,
No.
Miss Nelson, she changed out of her
Yes.
skin and became
Oh, Miss
Viola
Nelson.
Swamp.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
What the
Yes,
hell
those were
books did you guys
scary.
read? I read The Giving Tree.
You read The Giving Tree? That's all you
The
read?
Giving Tree.
Giving Tree?
Yeah, I love
I
that,
thought-
that book.
And
Oh,
Vince,
that
read,
sounds
and
boring.
Vince read
Oakville
The
thing.
Giving Head, right?
It's a great book. You should read it sometime.
Love you, Vince.
He doesn't read.
He doesn't read.
And he doesn't listen, so it doesn't matter. Oh man. Well, we're really happy to have you guys here. Carly, I wanted to have you on a very long time ago because you've been in the game for a couple years now, and you didn't really do a whole lot of guest spots at first, and you know, and I think you said you at that time being kind of new to it, you weren't that comfortable doing the guesting as much. So I said, well, let's leave her be for now. But now all of a sudden, like I said, like B said, you're kind of like the female Venom, and you're popping up all over the place. I'm like, well, now is the time, now is the month. So
Yeah, it just happens. People are like, want to do a podcast? And I'm like, okay, sure, I guess. Why not? But yeah, I was very shy back in the day. I did guest spots, but like, I get very nervous to be on podcasts. Even this one, I get nervous to do my own podcast sometimes. Like recording with JP, I'm just like, it's just like that anticipation of going on Skype for some reason. But I'm good. You guys are funny. You guys are nice. I've already recorded with Brandon and Christian before, so all I had left to conquer with was Mr. Z here. So
wait a minute.
I'm more pumped.
Yeah.
Yeah,
top
well, I was
10
on the
of,
Fresh Cuts episode,
Yeah.
the Black Christmas one.
Yeah, we
We
did
Both
that.
finished-
Heather and Carly.
Yeah.
Oh, separate
Oh yeah,
show.
yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I thought there
yeah,
was something
different
that I
shows.
wasn't there. Oh,
No.
okay. All is forgiven.
Yeah,
I was
episode
excited.
episode 96. You don't remember? You weren't there.
Here's
It
a
was-
real exploded head.
It was me, Christian, Jamie, Lacey, and Carly. He's like, what?
And Alex and Matt came on for a bit too.
Yeah, they were all there. Oh shit. So let's talk about women in horror. We did it the last show. We'll do it again. Heather, what's your opinion on the whole wheel of horror? No.
Wheel of-
The
Wheel
Wheel
of
of Horror is
Women.
amazing.
What about the Wheel of Women in horror?
That's great too.
Okay, women in horror. Pardon me. What are your thoughts on this?
Oh, I think that we've seen a real development of women directors, right? And even though Black Christmas, which I know was Christian's #1 movie because everyone razzed him on that Fresh Cups episode, poor guy.
Guys.
We really are seeing a development of women in horror, and I think we're seeing female characters change. We're seeing diversity. If we looked at Us, the diversity of that cast in there, and I think it's nice that we have a month that celebrates it. You know, I don't feel like women are impressed in horror, but I think it's just something that females, and Jamie and Lacey alluded to this last episode, that sometimes females aren't seen as liking horror. If you do like horror, it's seen as weird. You're seen as different. You're seen as, oh, you really like, you know, really gross stuff. So I think it's just normalizing it, which I love. And I actually went to the Women in Horror website and I read through, and I was listening to your episode last week to just familiarize myself more, and I think it's great. The more young ladies we can get involved in horror, the better. And your daughter has been involved, Dave,
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
which I think is awesome, and Christian took his daughter to some horror films as well, and I think that's great. Let's get them started young.
And I'm alone.
Nice.
And and Brendan's making
Leave it
a
on
play
Facebook.
for his kids at his I'm alone. I'm alone too. It makes me feel better.
Post it on Facebook later. you
Same.
prick.
Kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah, post it up. Unpopular opinion. I'm alone.
popular opinion.
Popular for most women, though. Anyway, Carly, and what do you? I love Brandon's reaction sometimes. Maybe I'll pose a question, and this can be answered by anybody. When you hear like retrospective reviews, like the ones that were from Siskel and Ebert back in the day, most recently the one they did on My Bloody Valentine popped back up for obvious reasons. But let's say the Friday the 13th series, and how they said it was almost like they're saying women get back in your place. I think that was almost verbatim the quote that Siskel said. It was like a movement to tell women to get back in their place. What is your response to hearing that? Because I know my response is kind of anger, but again, I'm coming from a guy perspective, and I would like to hear what your thoughts are when you hear reviews like that.
Carly, I'll let you go first.
You know, I don't know. Like, for one thing, the whole thing with women in horror, like, I never really feel that I need a big month to, like, celebrate anything. So to me, it's just kind of there. I don't really think about it. I actually, to be completely honest, I forgot this even was, like, the month. Like, I just don't pay attention to that type of stuff. But, yeah, I mean, I do get angry about that type of stuff. I think that sometimes women could be a little bit cringe, and they think, they are too, like in Black Christmas, I thought that movie was a cringe fest. I already talked about all that. I don't like when women are too up in arms about stuff. I just think we should all just chill and be equal with each other. And I think women, they can do just as good as men in the film industry and with horror, and they could be horror fans, and it's not weird or anything like that. So yeah, hearing comments like "go back in your place," I think that's super old school, and I can't believe people even still say stuff like that. It's just very odd to me that anyone would even think that way. I would never respect a man who says something like that. But yeah, like I do think it's offensive, but I don't dwell on it really, I guess. I'm just a very like laid back person when it comes to all of this, really. Like I'm just trying to be cool and not be the annoying woman or be super like feminism and all that, because I think girls who are like that are kind of annoying. That's just kind of the way I feel about
it. Becomes anti-productive if they're too. It's weird. It's almost like you have to walk everybody's seemingly saying everybody has to walk a fine line. Everybody, not women. I mean, everybody walks a fine line, and the second that you start being so overt about anything, it becomes problematic. It's not just now. You might offend people by saying that, but I tend to agree. But I'm coming from a different perspective. Anything that is done, like, I guess, so overtly tends to rub me the wrong way. Now, the reviews I was talking about, though, just to clarify, though, are also from a totally different era. And it was
1980s.
not,
obviously.
Not Siskel saying "get back in your place," but saying he feels like it was a movement of saying this was the film's way of saying women stay in your place, which I think
it's
totally
the complete opposite. Because
I just don't view things like that, I guess.
And the
Unless they're trying really hard
women
to put it in your face or something like that. But I don't view anything like that. That's just how I am, I guess. I don't look at fine details and get overly offended or anything. So, and yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like women, it's cool to want like equal rights and all that, but there are certain things I do think women can't do, like certain jobs and stuff like that. I'm not gonna lie about that type of stuff. And I think women are just too overly out there sometimes, and they become annoying. Like Venom said on that Fresh Cuts, like Black Christmas made him hate women even more. And yeah, that's how I kind of feel
to tie
too.
into what you're saying, there's a difference between educated and alienating. When you educate someone, you educate about issues that are happening, which M.F.A. did, which we'll get into later. But to add to what you were saying, Christian, I think that point had a lot to do with the fact that it was oppression of sexuality, right? So she was the good girl. She didn't drink. She didn't have sex. So that was the idea of putting women back in their place. And Scott and I talked about that in our most recent episode for 80 slashers. But I don't think that's true. I think Friday the 13th pushed the idea that a female could overpower, and you had two females that were in a villain and a hero situation, and I think that that's quite empowering. And I think that we do need to educate about issues that women are facing. I am definitely a feminist, but I like to think I'm not an annoying feminist. I understand that, yes, there are inequalities. Absolutely. Well, Brendan thinks I am, and that's fine.
Kidding.
I respect you, kind of. But like I agree exactly with what she's saying, and I think we've come a long way for females when it comes to directing. Like I don't know if you guys saw The Nightingale, if anyone saw that movie last year, but I thought that was a really good way to talk about issues that women faced, for example, in the 1800s, and educate, not alienate. Because Black Christmas alienated men, which was the opposite of that, what that was supposed to do, right? So I think that it is important to have acknowledgement of women in horror, and I think the month is great, but I agree with Carly. Like, I don't feel oppressed being a horror fan. Maybe from other females I do sometimes. I don't know if you've experienced that, Carly, at all. But the older I get, the less I care, so it doesn't really matter.
I feel like it's not just females, because around me, not everyone's really a big horror fan besides JP, and like I have some other friends who like horror too now, but before JP, I was the only one who was super into it. And like in middle school, people thought I was a weirdo and kind of made fun of me for it. So I kind of got out of it until like high school rolled over, like the end of high school again. And I was like, whatever. And then I met JP and realized he was, by creeping on him, I realized he was too. Like, oh, yes, exactly. Yes. There you go.
Weirdos have to stick together.
Yeah. But, and even now it's like, I have like one friend who pretty much only likes mainstream horror movies that come out in the theater. Like she was wanting to see Black Christmas and The Grudge and all that, but she doesn't feel like watching she's never seen Halloween or any of those movies. So she's very just mainstream. And if I say like, oh, I'm doing a horror podcast or something like that, she does she pretty mumuch laughs at me, so I kind of make up other reasons for me not being able to hang out with her sometimes. But you know what I mean? Like, because it seems like I'm lying when I'm like, I have to record a podcast. It sounds like an excuse. And just, I don't know, people do still look at me weird for liking horror movies, but it's not just women, it's everybody. I get like really red and feel awkward. Like I was telling my boss once, she asked me why I was asking for a day off, and she was like, oh, are you doing anything exciting? And I was like, oh, I'm going to this drive-in that plays horror movies all night. And I was like explaining my life to her, and I felt myself just like getting really red. And she was like, oh, wow, oh, okay. And I don't know, it's just something like that. It feels... But that's like with any hobby, I think.
think
like,
we all get that still, funny
Yeah.
enough. Like,
And
I
that
think,
woman sounds awful that you're explaining it to.
Yeah. And as you get older, Carly, like when I was going to the convention last weekend, I went out to Michigan. My coworkers are teasing the shit out of me about it. I work at a post-secondary institution with mostly women who definitely do not watch horror films.
Yeah.
And I don't care. You can tease me all you fucking want about it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like
I just don't
it's my
care
jam.
anymore is my
right?
thing. I used to care back then, and now I'm just like, that's what makes me happy. Just like how some people are obsessed with Disney or anime or
Oh my
something like
God.
that. Those
Now that
people, that
angers
makes
me.
them happy.
It angers me too. I agree. Anime.
All right, never mind.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
kidding.
yeah,
Point is
Cherry.
lost.
Just, yeah.
Hey man,
But-
everybody likes something. You go to work and everybody has their thing. I mean, granted, a lot of people are just basic guys that like sports, women that like, I don't know what women like.
Bachelor.
So
Lifetime
Okay, The
movies,
Bachelor.
cooking.
stupid TV shows.
Yeah,
you
and-
hear him sewing,
What did he
cooking.
say?
I did sewing and cooking. I was talking
Ironing.
about me, not
Sewing.
women.
Cooking.
Nobody.
But you know,
Making casseroles.
And you're single. That's so weird.
So
Gosh,
weird.
I'm shocked.
oh shit. But yeah,
got
here's the way
Vince
I
on
look at
speed
it.
now.
Is you go to work, everybody's got their thing. As long as you're not a walking, talking stereotype, and everything that comes out of your mouth and everything that you is constant horror, then I don't think that makes anybody weird. If somebody was constantly doing it, yeah, there would be. I mean, why would you want to even talk to that person? Because, but if you can still function in society and talk about everything else, like me, I'm at work. People know me as the horror guy, sure, but they also know that I have other interests too, and I could have a normal conversation about this and that. I
Feeling
think.
kittens.
Yeah, there you go.
Lucky.
See, I got the cat side to me. That's true. People at work. A guy was telling a story yesterday, and at the end of when he started the story, he said, "Well," he goes, "this might make Dave angry," and I was like, "Oh, I thought it was going to be some joke." And he started talking, and he got to a point in the story. He goes, "There was a lady on the side of the road, this and then she had a black bag." And as soon as she heard that, I said, "I'm out," and I walked out of the room for a minute, and I laughed about it. I came back 30 seconds later, and I said, "I probably missed something. I bet it had to do with a dog or a cat or some animal in some weird situation because we encounter some weird things at work sometimes." But it is what it is. I mean, as long as you can function in normal conversations, nobody should ever feel awkward. If anybody makes you feel awkward, then they're the ones with the problem, not you.
Yeah, it's on them.
Yeah, I pretty much only bring up
Yeah.
like horror movies or anything if someone asks me about it, and then I kind of geek out on stuff, or they like
Same
ask
here.
me what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm not
Every
gonna.
story they asked.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they
That's
never
the
know
only
what
time
I'm
I bring it
watching.
up.
Every
And
time I
that's
go
what
to the
this community is
movies,
good for.
oh, dude, for sure. And we have each other, and it's awesome. Like
Mhm.
when I'm leaving work, if I'm going to a movie that night, I'll tell them, "What are you doing?" "I'm going to a movie." Every time I tell them what I'm seeing, they don't know what the fuck. Pardon me. Sometimes they do. When I said I'm going to see Midsommar, they had no fucking clue what that was. Never even
Yeah.
heard. Right? Didn't no idea. Okay. When I said
I have one
Granzel, when I what the fuck? When I said Gretel and Hansel, one person said, "Yeah, I saw that. That might be okay." That's it. But most people, unless you're a guy talking about fucking Fast and the Furious or some
my
some
God.
other shit, then nobody really cares, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But
Nobody cares about Vin Weasel.
I sure as fuck don't. But whatever.
I
Each
like
his
the
own.
first one.
I don't know how
That
we
was-
got to 9 movies of that. I'm curious on how people keep coming back from the dead. It is like a horror movie. They're all like zombies by the end of it. You never
Paul,
die
Paul
those
Walker's in the
movies.
new one.
I wouldn't be surprised.
He's the Tupac.
and
of-
Weekend at Bernie's. It's
I-
this Weekend at
yeah,
Bernie's
He's
is
doing
really
Weekend at
shaping up
Bernie's.
to be great.
He's doing Weekend at Bernie's 3 and Firestarter 3. Oh, too soon. Sorry.
Oh.
Mamma mia. Oh, well, I'll tell you what. I think the 80s slashers elevated women.
Yes,
And-
empowered them.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
it empowered them. And if you look at all those 80s movies, particularly the slashers, more men were killed than women, and the men typically received more violent deaths. These are facts. You could go through all these movies. This is not even opinion. I know that Brian and Jamie have discussed it before, that they were looking at all this stuff. They were basically studying it one day, saying, let's look at all this. And that's what they came up with, that it was really the other side. It was really the men that were the ones being brutalized, and so be it. And a lot of times the females are the killer. Not a lot of times, but it's always a nice healthy twist in a slasher.
And look what's happening now with some of the later films now with these gay interest themes. Having a film like Knife Plus Heart, where the men are sexualized now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's even starting to happen. You had Hellbent, what was that?
Two.
Like early 90s? No, but it's
I know.
Yeah.
slowly.
Yeah.
But it used to be sexualizing women in every movie, and that I could see people arguing about but now it's starting to change a little.
I agree. I just saw a movie on Hulu, The Midnight Kiss. It's part of their Into the Dark series.
Okay.
And I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's based on 4 gentlemen that are homosexual. And you see a lot of sexualized things in that movie that are all homosexual based. So absolutely, like they are sexualized in that. There's barely any female nudity, if any. Like I can't even think if there was any.
Calm
And
down,
it's
Christian.
It's weird to see that.
I heard Into the Dark, and I assumed that meant anal sex.
There
Into the
was
Dark.
indications of that, but you didn't see it. You need to go to Pornhub for that if you want to watch that more.
I'll type it Into the Dark.
Make sure you do.
Whew.
And Carly, they're not looking at you weird because you just gave them a 1-hour explanation on Halloween. They're looking at you weird because they only asked you what time it was.
I was waiting for it. I was just like, this is gonna end rude.
I'm teasing.
No, I know,
Awesome.
but
If you could talk an hour about Halloween, I'd be super impressed.
I would rather-
like to hear what you would have to say.
I would rather talk horror 24/7
yeah,
than mundane everyday bullshit.
I know. I can't stand small talk. That's me at
Neither
work. I
can
just
I.
sit there quiet. I can't stand when people are like, "Oh, this day's going so slow," or "Wow, the weather's cold outside." I hate that. It's every day. Like you're robots.
Weather piece.
just
Although
sit
you know what, I
quietly.
do the weather thing sometimes too at work. I'm like,
It's out of
whoa,
a nervous habit. Like, you're just-
exactly.
Yeah, I'll,
Yes,
I'll
it
do
is.
it. I'll do it if
something.
someone
I
brings
can't
up
tell
to
them
me,
I
I'm
want to go
like, "That is
masturbate in the
raining."
car. I'll talk
No,
about the weather.
that's awkward. That's awkward
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, my
You
student,
might
my
want to come
student,
and help
awkward
you or
corner.
watch it or whatever, and then it's weird. Yeah.
my 5th graders do not appreciate when I tell them that I'd rather be masturbating in the car. They do not like that.
What are the parent-teacher meetings like after that when the parents come in to chat with you?
They understand.
Sure, you want to
They're
shake my hand?
Yo, I'd rather have small talk and weather talk than this. Than you walk in the office and fucking people are in their phones and no one's having any communication.
Oh, I thought you
So-
meant this, like the show.
No, the fucking
I
I was doing this.
No, I
was
saw that.
typing away.
I
'cause-
agree. Well, that's ridiculous. Now you go out to eat with your family, and everyone's on the phone. You can't talk to anyone anymore.
I
Who are you
can't. Yeah, I
talking
can't
to?
stand that.
I'm all for small talk because of that now. Just even though it's just whatever. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? How was your weekend? And usually, like me at my work, I have to talk about weather because we're out in the weather. So it's a discussion that you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That comes up. What's going on? What's going
He's
on?
a
today?
storm
And-
chaser.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't mind people
Ooh,
telling
that
me
sounds
about
like
their
a fun job.
I don't mind people telling me like about their family or what happened with their kids over
Right.
the weekend and stuff. That's different. I hate when people are just like the same old. They make the same phrase every single day. It seems like, and
it's
they.
just phony. It's phony. It seems
Yeah,
like.
it's like
going through the motions.
robotic. I'd
Yeah.
rather be quiet and just do my work than talk about dumb stuff I don't really care about. Honestly, that's just how I'm programmed. That's how I've always been. Like,
You want
I'm
a meaningful
silent high, get the-
conversation.
They're
Yeah,
insecurities.
exactly.
It's a nervous habit, and everyone does it differently.
Yeah.
Some people, when they're nervous or insecure, they keep to themselves. Others try to not seem weird, so they decide to come up with something to say, even if it's just rudimentary nonsense.
I'll
but
tell you
it's just
what.
something.
I'll tell you what, if you listen to your coworker, I went into the faculty lounge the other day for the first time. I walked in there. There's like 10 other teachers and faculty members in there, and all they're talking about is kids they dislike in their class, the parents they fought with. I'm like, I'm getting out of here.
Oh
I
my
do
God,
not want to
that's
be
crazy.
involved in this. I have a friend who's been a teacher for probably 15, 20 years now, and he says he never leaves his classroom. He goes to his classroom, he teaches. During his breaks, he's in his classroom by himself. He says he wants nothing to do with the other faculty members. And I saw why, because all they do is complain. And
I've
it's just,
always wondered if like teachers are like talking smack
that's
on
all they're
students.
doing.
Oh yeah,
They're
they
talking-
should
yeah.
really
they're
for
talking
sure.
shit
Like they
on
have to be.
students
No one
and
is like that
parents.
nice and caring in this world to like where they wouldn't do that. That's funny to like hear.
And I'm
It's
just like,
true.
I'm
I've never
after-
known a teacher, so
I get people have done this for a long time, but it's like you can get in serious trouble if the principal comes in and then all of a sudden, I don't want someone coming to me and be like,
Wow.
all right, what was said? No, I'm not involved in this.
Well,
I
my
remember
sister-in-law is a
Go ahead.
teacher.
Yeah.
No, my sister-in-law is a teacher. My brother used to be a teacher. They even taught at the same academy. And I get horror stories all the time from, my sister-in-law. And that isn't her life. She's not a miserable person or anything. But the way I take it is they have to hold that stuff in so much of the time. They get that little 45-minute break. They got to vent to somebody. So in a way, I'm not defending them, saying that it's normal, but I can kind of understand. It depends on how they do it. If they're walking in there and saying, fuck this bitch and that little cunt, and blah, blah, you know what I mean? If they're doing
that's
that, it's
That'd be
unprofessional
an
and
exciting
mean.
teacher lounge. Wow.
But that's kind of like what it
True.
is. They're in there. They're just always complaining. They're always talking about school stuff. Oh, we got this. Like, can't we just go in there and just talk about something else?
like
Talk
they
about
hate
horror.
their jobs.
Let's talk about horror. Or finger
Horror
blasting.
movies.
Or finger blasting each other.
That sounds like good conversation too. I want to come to your teacher lounge.
Yeah.
Word. Yeah, what about it, B? Aren't there single female teachers there?
A lot of older women.
How old?
Single?
50s,
Rich?
60s.
Well, okay,
Definitely
they
not.
might have money, divorced, and they, who knows?
yeah,
Very
maybe
much.
they're getting alimony.
Yeah.
Find out.
They also don't care about science as much. Right
There you
next to
go.
it, so you'll be fine.
Hey, I'm average. I looked it
They
up.
don't care.
What about mothers? Do you see mothers of these teachers coming in and stuff like that? Young mothers? No?
You mean of the students?
Yes. No, mothers of the teachers. Of course.
That's what you said. That's
what I
exactly
thought
what
you
you
said
said.
too.
You said
Yeah,
mothers
like-
are the teachers.
Which
That's
you could
why
go
I'm-
for too. They'd be old and maybe
sorry.
rich, right? You gotta be open
I get
minded.
a 2-for-1 deal.
I don't
Hey,
only
yeah,
because
my
I'm a
mistake.
full-time sub, so I'm not with the same kids every day, so I'm with different kids each day. So
Even better. So you're getting
Yeah.
to meet new women every day.
You play the
Mothers of
field.
these children. Buddy, that's a
Yeah.
gold mine. What are you doing?
what are you doing?
Oh,
Not-
whatever.
Socializing.
Apparently not. Not so locking himself in the room.
And
That's what
then
you
you
do.
watch horror movies while he's on his break and try to get through hanging out with the kids afterwards.
Actually, I like to go on fresh cuts on my break and troll.
Oh, which is even better.
He
That's
does,
what. That's
like,
exactly
alright,
what I do.
back
I
to
find
the
a
kids.
spot in the classroom where I get internet connection. I go on there and I just troll.
My time has come.
That's okay, buddy. As long as you don't troll the top 100 or the HPP chat, we're good. Rock and roll.
Top 100. Get your lists in. No one's listening.
Yeah, thank you. Top 100. Get your list in. Everyone, patrons, listeners that are involved with it, other podcasters that may be listening. Yeah, please. By the time this comes out, it's going to be, yeah,
It's coming quick.
damn straight.
Like
It's the
Christian.
15th. Word.
My specialty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, get it in now. March 1st is due date. Get on that stuff because episode 100 is going to be a big one. So, there you have it. Okay. I guess we should get in these movies because, that's kind of why we're here. I love to BS all day long, but we just can't.
BSing is the best part of the show.
I agree.
I enjoy the
Small
BS.
talk.
I enjoy
Harley.
listening to it.
The small talk part of the
No, no.
This is
How's
good
the
small.
weather
These
there?
are conversations
Okay,
that are worth having.
Yeah.
Right?
I have a question
Let's get
actually
the
for Dave and Christian just before we go. Is what do your young ladies think of horror? Like, what are their perceptions of women in horror? Have they said anything to you about the movies that they've seen? Your daughters?
They don't. My daughter has not mentioned that she's noticed it, and
Okay.
I won't put the agenda on her. Like for Black
Yeah.
Christmas, I didn't say it. We talked about what we thought afterwards, and she didn't really get into it. Now she's getting to that age. I mean, she is at the age. She's 14.
How old is she? She's 14.
14. So she's getting to that age of noticing a bit more, but she's going more for the enjoyment factor. So she wants to watch
Yeah.
the Saw movies now.
Oh, nice.
A friend talked about the Saw films. She already watched part 1 yesterday because we're on a long weekend here. I don't know if you have a long weekend in the
Yeah,
States.
we do.
We're on a long weekend here, family day weekend. So fuck you with the aping. They always say we ape off the States with our long weekends.
Ape.
I do
We
though.
do
don't
not.
We honey dick them.
I'm
So the,
picturing an ape. I don't know why I'm
yeah.
just picturing a big ape right now.
We honey nippled and dicked them. So Saw 2, we started this morning and we're going to finish tonight.
Nice.
Wow. Well, did you happen to listen to the WotC episode with
I
us and
haven't
Mickey?
listened to it yet. I'm trying to like catch up with all the other episodes. You guys do long episodes, so I have to listen to them in chunks.
This is true. Well, if you just want to go to the deep dive part with the kids, you'll hear a lot from Frankie Z there.
Nice.
But to answer your question, I mean, she does like horror, but she doesn't watch it all the time. You know what I mean? But she's downstairs usually. I'm upstairs watching horror. She's usually downstairs watching YouTube. That's pretty much the way it goes when my wife is at work. And when my wife is around, we've been watching American Horror Story, actually. So she'll watch that.
Cool.
We finished season 1, and we just started season 2. Again, this is the 3rd or 4th time I'm going through this show. That's wild.
Nice.
But, but she's really enjoying it, so she likes that. It's funny because she says that she loves gore, which is funny, but she looks away from a lot of it, but that's part of the charm. And she's like, she'll say the little things bother me. She doesn't like to see slit wrists or slit throats, but other things she loves, like that are more fantastical. She's into that, and I get that because like me, there's certain things I don't want to see, like fingernails and certain things they bother me
Stuff that
too.
makes you want to pass out. I don't
Rocking
like that
horses.
They are scary. They are scary. It's true. But yeah,
But she'll
she's into
decide
all
for a
that.
bad movie, though, right? Like my daughter even says to me, because Dad, I don't even know if I could tell what a bad movie. I'm like, well, you'll know because you just won't like it. When you tell me you didn't really like that, then to you that was a bad movie.
That's
So,
another thing.
in a
Another
simple-
pet peeve of the horror community. People feel that they have to be on board with other people's opinions, and that statement almost reminds me of like, well, I don't know if it's bad because I got to see what everyone else thinks. No, you decide for yourself, like anything else in life. You try something, you try a new food for the first time. You don't like it, you don't like it.
And it's hard
Well-
because like everyone's on Facebook and you see everyone sharing like their opinions on the stuff before you go to see it half the time. So it's like so hard not to keep that in mind. And I try not to. Like if I see someone say a movie's horrible and everyone keeps saying it, I try so hard to like not think about that while I'm watching the film. 'Cause
Yeah,
then,
I'd
you know-
rather hear people horrible reviews than all the glowing reviews. Although I really don't.
Well, yeah, that too.
I
'cause
don't feel like I've ever been swayed by that. I think Doctor Sleep was the most I heard hyped wise, where everyone was like giving it the utmost rave reviews, and I had very low expectations, thinking 40 years later, a sequel. How's it gonna work with today's CGI and stuff like that? And I was blown away. It's one of my favorite movies of last year, but I had no expectations for it.
Oh, the thing that irks me is the not being able to shit on anything anymore. God forbid, there are shit movies out there. There's pieces of crap, and God forbid you say anything bad about it. Oh, I just want to be positive. Okay, there's being positive, but a turd's a turd. As we'll talk about,
Yeah.
you can't polish a turd. We'll be talking about that later on tonight. Because you can't. You can't. Now, there might be a nostalgic feeling that one or two people have for it or whatever group has, but this not being able to shit on a movie, oh no, I can quite easily shit on a film.
Do it in the Fresh Cuts chat.
But I'll watch it. I'll do it there. I'll do it constantly. Like you
Particularly when
shitting on Discord service, which I have no intention of watching. I live vicariously through you, Brandon. I saw the preview and I listened to what you said. I can't comment on the movie, but I would say that my feeling would align with yours. I would suspect if I was to watch it, but I can't say I hated the movie because I haven't watched it.
Yeah.
But I have no desire to see it.
Because I genuinely hated it, and it's really not something I'm ever going to revisit again. And I don't really like the films that they make, but all the power to them for having a fan base and putting out, small independent horror films with good effects and whatever. But it's just not my thing. So I kind of felt bad for the way I presented the review, even though it was funny, but at the same time, I'm allowed not to like it. There's plenty of people who like it. They can love it, support it. Absolutely. It's independent horror filmmakers. Support it if you love it.
Fuck Spookies, right? We went on that big rant.
Yeah, but if you genuinely love Spookies, go buy it. Go buy the slipcovers. That's fine.
Steal
Don't feel bad. No,
I don't
feel bad for loving or hating it. I love and hate
why.
movies that you guys feel the opposite on, and vice versa.
It's really simple. Somebody puts out a product. Somebody puts out a product, art of any form, music, a movie, painting, any art that's put out there. You have a right to look at it and say nothing, or say I love it, or say I hate it. By putting anything out there for the public, I don't care if it's a fucking YouTube video or a podcast. By putting anything out there for the public, you give them the right to say whatever they want about it. There's nothing wrong with that. That's because if you could, especially if you can make money off it. If they're making money off something and you think it's shitty, what's wrong with saying at least they're making money? Who cares? Say it. And I take a little bit of exception to the way you said it, B. If everybody does tell me that something sucks, I will not watch it, and I think it's worked for me. I'm sorry. I trust other horror fans where it's a 99% people shit on it. I'm not gonna. That's why I've never watched the Psycho remake or the Fog remake or all these shit movies that everybody talks about. Everyone says, "Oh, don't waste your time with that," and I always jump in and say, I wouldn't watch those movies. Why would I? I don't think at the end of the day I'm gonna be that one guy that loves that movie and everybody else says I just don't see. And if I miss out on one gem out of 1,000 movies because of it, I'm okay with that. So I don't mind doing it. Now a movie like Escort Service, you shit on it. Okay, that's fine. You said it sucks, 0 out of 10. You hate it. But I would watch Escort Service before I watch Black Christmas, just because I know that there are other people that don't feel like you. How do you know it's a mistake? A lot of people.
You're right. You're no, but I actually did see.
Rolling the dice.
Yeah.
Did you see both, Christian? Did you see both?
No. I haven't seen Escort Service, but I won't even entertain the idea.
Okay. Yeah, but I'm playing the odds. You know what I mean? If I know there's a fan of it's a split movie, even if it's 30 positive to 70 negative, that's better than freaking 98, 97, 98, 99%. Everyone says it sucked. Don't bother. So I'm sorry if everything comes out, and guys, I have my method with the cover of the movie and when I look on the B and what everybody says, I think it does me well. I'm sorry, I really do. I don't watch any bad movies as a result, and I'm happy. If everybody says something's really bad, there's been so many movies. I could go on and on. There was that movie on Netflix, Open House or something.
Oh my God.
Negative. See, there you go. I should watch it. Why should I watch it? It makes no sense to me. I'm not going to say I'm going to form my own opinion. No, I trust people that are fans of the genre enough where the vast majority says it's bad. I'm going to skip it. I'm sorry.
I trust some people. I'm not all trusting, but I get you. I totally get you 100%. But sometimes I'm like, I just got to check it out for myself. And more than likely, the majority is right. But just sometimes I still have to, go ahead and do it.
Sometimes when people are talking so bad about a movie, it makes me want to watch it just to say, like, this can't be as bad as what they're saying. But half the time it is as bad as what they're saying. You are correct. Yeah. I can't help it. I just can't help myself. I need to know what the problem is.
That's true also. And I'm also the other way. I like to rewatch movies that people rave that I didn't like. And I'm looking forward to checking out a few of them, particularly Midsommar, because even my friend who I saw it with, and we both didn't love it in theaters. Now, I talked about this, last year. I still rated it a 7 out of 10, which is not a bad score at all. But even my friend rewatched it again. He's like, it's kind of growing on me. And Dave, of course, raved in. A lot of people raved in. I'm kind of want to check out the director's cut because I feel like additional development is what I needed. Because there were just some things where I was like, well, in the end, it's an overly simplistic film. There just seems like there was not enough explained about all the stuff going on in between. And it just seemed like a simple film in the end for that length. So I think I need that additional stuff.
I felt the same way, though, about that movie. I felt the same way about Midsommar. I thought it was exceptionally well done, but it was not on my top 10, not because it wasn't a good film. I just didn't connect with it the way other people did. And I think that's okay. And I know for me, I'm trying to watch every theater watch and every Shudder release this year because of podcasting now, and that's good. It puts me outside of my comfort zone, but I have my preferences, and I know what I like and I know what I don't. I don't love Lovecraft. I don't enjoy a lot of Lovecraft stuff. Did I enjoy Color Out of Space? Absolutely. Would I have watched that if I wasn't in podcasting? Probably not. So I think that it's
same opinion.
That it's pushing me, right?
Same opinion.
To that. Yeah.
But certain Lovecraft type films are now starting to grow on me, so it makes me want to go back and revisit some of the older films that I didn't see. In fact, there's a 2012 German version of Color Out of Space that I actually wanted to rewatch because I read it got pretty high reviews for the top 100 potentially. I think it's on Prime. It's called The Color Out of Space from 2012.
Yeah, it's
German version.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, black and white German version. So I want to actually watch both versions now.
You know what's funny?
Sure.
Taste change.
I get a kick out of this. movies that we gave 7s out of 10s on the year-end show are the movies that we're talking the most shit about. Like, right?
My biggest
Agazusa,
disappointment of the year was a 7 out of 10, which was The Lighthouse.
right? The Lighthouse, Midsommar. What else? Climax. Movies that
they're not bad
I don't
movies.
hate them.
I just expect it to be blown away.
Maybe that's part of it, or maybe because you see something there, like, you know, behind the camera, you're like, well, if only the story or this would have been better, this could have been great. So therefore the anger, because it's like you were this close, but you didn't quite do it. Yet no one else, but a lot of people are blowing it, and they don't notice all the things that I'm saying here. You know, as far as what's going on with the plot. How come it doesn't bother them that there's no plot here, but it's bothering me? And it's almost like it's, you know, again, 7 out of 10. It's a movie I recommend.
Movie. It's a movie I'd buy. I'd buy a 7 out of 10 movie.
Right, but I find that we all typically talk more shit about those ones than the real movies that we actually rate.
Because they're the ones that are right on the fringe of becoming really great films.
Yeah, you gotta be hard on them.
Yeah, and it's weird. It always comes down, for me in particular, just the emotional connection with the characters. And if it's just not there, it just hurts it for me. I feel like I just tend to love films where I emotionally connect with the characters. I think that's why I hate
most people
Better Watch Out so much. Is because I love the girl and I hate that kid so much that I just anticipating
that's an emotion.
I know. I love and hate it. That's how I feel about films like Funny Games, like Eden Lake. It's like too emotional where it's just like, fuck you, I don't want to watch this movie ever again.
Mm-hmm.
It takes something out of me.
With Dr. Sleep, not problem, because I came up on it, but I expected so much more based on how much people were raving about it. And I'm like, yeah, this is good. It's good. And then I watched it again. I'm like, okay, I was a little hard on it. I know I like this. I like it, and it's very good, but it's not this. Yeah.
It's no Black Christmas.
And I never said it was a Black Christmas. You fuck.
I'm just
the one that had a drama is number one last year.
I actually can't wait to watch Black Christmas because I feel like I'm gonna be with Christian. I feel like I'm gonna be like, this isn't.
No, it's not. It's not great. It's not great, but it's not.
You said that.
See, I saw it for more than what people just saw the agenda and just hit shit on it.
Yeah.
And
that's all there was.
But there is a lot of that, and even if it's a poorly made movie, for some reason it's just so brisk and so off the fucking rails that I just kind of enjoyed it. It's not great. I never said it was great as much as Neil would like you to think I did. But I will watch it again. I will watch it again. I actually want to see if they actually have anything added for the unrated or whatever, the direct the DVD or Blu-ray version. I'll check it out again. I'm not going to buy it though.
Well, I'll tell you one last thing. Back to my daughter. She is the target demographic, I think, for this Black Christmas movie. Guess what? When all this happened, I asked her about it. I go, so are people in your school talking about Black Christmas? She didn't even know what it was. She thought about the old movie. She goes, a movie you watch on Christmas? I said, no, there's a new one out. None of the girls in her school, not her, nobody. And you know damn well there's feminists that are in middle school and high school, because it's in fashion. But so it's like nobody knew anything about it.
Fashion to be a feminist.
It is, and gay. It is in fashion. That's just
last year was dating black people. This year it's feminist.
So be it.
Continuing. I'm dating a gay black person now.
And he's a feminist.
Yeah, and I'm a feminist.
Lesbians are in fashion. Back to my daughter. This is the funny thing. I asked my daughter when I was upstairs, when I was telling you the story before, because I mentioned elementary school. She goes, everybody was I had so many friends in elementary school. I go, yeah, because none of you guys didn't know any better. You were young. Everybody, now it's drama, but everybody at that age does get along for the most part. So she goes, the only people I talk to now, or have talked since elementary school, are the one girl, Aaliyah. She goes, but she's a racist, so I don't talk to her anymore. And she goes, and Samantha, and she, for some reason, she's always held on to the Samantha girl, even though she's changed schools and school districts some others, different times. But somehow she's occasionally talked to this girl in different ways. So I go, how is it Samantha girl doing? She's like, good. She goes, well, she's in love with me now too. I said, what? Now when I tell you something, I'm not exaggerating. My daughter has had 4 best friends, 3 since moving here, and then I'm going to add Samantha to it now as the 4. Every girl that she hangs out with all right, is a lesbian, calls himself, granted they're 13 years old, calls himself a lesbian and is in love with my daughter.
Well,
In
good for
love
your
to the fact that
daughter.
they have,
Yeah.
and I told her, I go, good for
She
you. I
must
go,
be
later
hot.
on in life, I said, if you were a lesbian, you would have the life. You'd have, you could pick either one you want. But the thing is, these girls are, dude, they're 13 years old and they all keep declaring themselves lesbians and all obsessing over my daughter, who isn't really into dating anybody.
Lesbianism is
I'm
in fashion,
upset.
not
I'm
My
upset.
That's
life
what
would
I'm
be
saying.
easier
That
if I
is
was a
true.
lesbian.
I'm upset your daughter has 3 more girlfriends than I do.
Yeah. Really?
But it's the
So does
same
Mark
thing.
Walker.
Lesbians. Gay is in fashion. It's the same thing. And I know that in fashion is what I'm trying to. Years ago, it wouldn't have been that way. I'm not saying people should stay in the
Yeah,
closet.
you're right.
But that's what I'm saying. Because it's everywhere you look. It's become in fashion. And that's what I say in fashion. Because it's almost like, I don't know. I can't. I went to her school for the open house for the moving update thing because she's going to be in high school next year, and half of the people I saw portrayed, nobody hate on me, portrayed themselves as homosexual, women and
How
men,
do you do that? Have a cock
boys
dangling
and
off
girls.
the cheek? I don't know. How do you portray it
Yeah. What?
nowadays? I'm just curious.
Their behavior, the way they talk, the way they act, the way they dress, it's just that's the way it seemed to me.
I portray myself as a
Without
black
sounding
person.
like an asshole, I'm not.
Yo, what up, Mr. Z? Yo, I'm a horrible stereotype.
Well, that used to be in fashion too.
Why do you have a cock
Billy.
down the cheek?
Dude, I only wish I was black from the waist down.
That's what my wife says about me. You're black from the waist down.
Yeah,
It's
good for
amazing.
you, Dave. Good for you. I'm not hating at all. You know what? Good for you, Dave. You deserve it.
I don't have much, but
You
what I
deserve-
have,
You
You
deserve to be
deserve it.
black from the waist down.
You deserve all 9.5, whatever it's up to this week, inches.
it's always the same
Nine
shot.
and a half. Oh
I
my
know, I'm
God.
teasing.
Not. Don't even put that
I-
in my mouth.
Don't even put that in my mouth.
Is that what she said?
No, she wouldn't say that. But she did say that years ago.
Well,
Years
she
ago,
was
I put up
scared.
a
No
thing.
wonder. She was probably startled. She was like, "What?
"Fuck this."
I wasn't prepared for this. You're white."
I switched colors because I wanted less.
Oh no,
But
she had the picture. She got the picture before we ever hooked up. Please,
Oh,
please.
Oh, good. So back to
Anyway,
your point, though, Dave. I think
Not
when you're
unsolicited.
Please.
Oh, let's get away from his point.
No, when I think teenagers, like, sexuality is so fluid, like, really, like it always was. You're turning 13, you're trying to express your sexuality. And I think now, you want to be part of pop culture. I think you do have a valid point. I think people want to be different, and right now we're getting more accepted of alternative lifestyles, and I think that's great. But I think sometimes people they want to jump onto trends, no matter what
Yeah,
those
it's
trends, maybe
mainly-
whether they associate with
Mainly
that
girls
or not.
too.
Yeah,
Like it's
right.
mainly the girl. Like that was how it was when I was in school too. Like every girl all of a sudden in high school was bisexual. But
Well, the guys like
no
it.
I
men
wish I went
wanna
to your
come on.
school.
Yeah.
The guys, see, the guys like it. Like, you go out
Yeah.
to clubs and girls grind together and guys buy you drinks. Like, that's how it works. Like, you
Yeah.
do what you got to do.
Except for
So
the drink buying part. I was very frugal.
I know. I remember. We probably went to the same bars.
But you're talking middle school, Kylie, right? Or did you say high school?
It was in middle school and high school really.
Man, that's too
honestly.
young, man. Middle school. They
Yeah.
don't even really know what. How could you identify sexually to that strength at that age? I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I knew
Yes,
I
knew
think
I was
some people
straight.
know. I think some. Yeah.
sure.
I don't know,
Right.
because like when I was like that age, I wasn't really attracted to anyone. I feel like it wasn't until high school that I had a crush on someone for the first time. So that's but some people do. I don't know. People are just different the way their brains are wired, I guess. But
Some of us are more study and we started younger. Like, it's just how it is, right?
I mean, I had crushes on, but yeah, you didn't know what the hell was going on at that
Yeah.
point. You just had.
yeah, I didn't
Crush
think
is
about
done.
it.
I
didn't know
still
what a
run around
lesbian
just
was,
swinging
so I
my
was
dick
like,
around like it's a helicopter.
Oh,
thing,
great.
As I'm going through the house. I thought that was an age
Don't
thing.
Don't flatter
Never is.
yourself
You
like a
still
do it now?
helicopter.
No, like a very small helicopter.
Looks like
Not
looks like
Dave's
Fidel
helicopter.
Castro
Yeah.
smoking the tail end of a Cuban. Dave.
Where the
Uh,
fuck have we gone?
I don't know. Let's
Talking
get.
about a movie.
We better talk about the movies. Okay. Are we gonna go
All right,
in
well-
order again?
Yeah, let's go in order. But Heather mentioned, small chunks before, and I just wanted to give a shout out to Mr. Watson.
Oh wow! You said you were gonna be nice.
I did say that, but you know what? He's too sensitive. We got to loosen him up a little. We got to toughen up that thin skin. I love him. I love him.
Why?
Little what?
Look
And
at the
Little
little
Watt.
one. Little one.
So why?
Can I say I did listen to the episode of Watsy with little Frankie Z and Little Watt on there, and they both did fantastic. And like Little Watt, it's creepy how much he sounds just like his dad. The way he
Funny.
not just the way he talks, but his voice. Sometimes like Watson will be like, "Okay, Little Watt, you take over now," and then like I was like, "Why is Watson still talking for his son?" And I was like, "Oh, that's
Well,
actually."
they're both.
There's a horror movie. That's a horror movie right there.
They're both
Dead
Little
Ringers.
Watt.
They just sort of switch.
True.
And we learned from that episode that talent does skip a generation. All right. Time.
Wow.
Maybe there is no
Wow.
Little Watt. That's
Wow,
the
this was
horror
Not
movie.
me, little
Yeah.
Watt.
You know what's
Not me,
crazy?
Little or Big Watt.
You know what's crazy? I thought drinking made me nice and friendly. Apparently it
Clearly
doesn't.
not. No.
Clearly not. I'm an
I'm one of
angry
those-
drunk. Look at me.
Yeah. You're going back to heel. Heel
I'm
Brandon's back.
Heels, yes.
Heels. I'm wearing
Speaking of
heels.
heels, I'm sure you're going to heel out. Oh, no, you know. Christian's going to be a heel. on the
Christian's
first review.
Christian's been a heel in like every movie this year. I feel like he's hating movies this year, but let's see what happens.
He's allowed to say what he wants to. We talked
That's
about
true.
this
Yeah,
earlier.
damn it.
You're empowered.
Yeah. You're a feminist. You can hate whatever you want, Christian.
That's right.
Last year was Russians. Still
All right.
Russians. Who am I kidding?
Only
I love everybody. Except for Russians.
white Russians or black Russians?
Yeah.
And
Oh,
just
yeah,
to
we're
be
talking
clear,
drinks.
All Russians.
Yeah.
All right.
White Russians. Milk.
1982.
Here's a joke really quick, though.
Go ahead.
Here's a joke about white Russians and black Russians. A friend of mine was a bartender, and she was it's a joke on her, but whatever. I heard about it through the grapevine. She was learning to bartend and everything else, and we were in Vegas, and somebody said, "I want a black Russian," and she had never done that. She'd only made white Russians, and she goes, "I know how to make white Russians." She's like, "What's the difference?" And the guy answered, "The milk," and she goes, "Well, how do you make milk black?" That was her answer.
Oh God.
sounds like a good bartender.
Yeah.
I would have
Single,
said the
Brandon.
black Russian comes with an ankle bracelet because it's on parole or something like that. I would have made a really insensitive joke like that.
Building cultural bridges today. That's what we're doing.
I was a
There's
bartender
no
too.
racism in the States, Heather.
Best
I don't know
job,
if you know
best
that.
job I ever had.
Oh no. No idea.
Best
none.
job I ever had. Most money I ever made.
Go back to it.
I'm content
Let's,
now.
please, let's get into some movies.
All right, The
Okay,
Slayer, 1982, written and directed by J.S. Cardone. Two couples become stranded on a rugged isle and are haunted by a supernatural beast drawn to the wife of one of the couples who dreams of its killings. All right, The Slayer,
Oh,
1982.
The Slayer.
Final
Let me-
thoughts?
Let me say something about the Slayer, because of course, like we usually do, we're gonna say, where it came from. Robert Patterson chose this one on Patreon, and I want to read. I never do this, but in this case, it's apropos. I want to read what he said about the Slayer. He says, "Okay, hey dudes, thanks for the offer to suggest a movie for show 98. How about 1982's The Slayer, aka Nightmare Island? That would be a cool one to cover, as I've heard it's a non-linear film that could be interpreted multiple ways. I haven't seen it yet, so it could be total rubbish, but I'd be interested to hear your take on it." Well, I'll tell you what. Number one, thank you, Robert, of course.
Yes. And it's show 97, Dave.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, sorry. At the time, I told him it was going to be 98, so you're
Well,
right.
I took-
I was reading the message, yes, but
Wow, that Robert.
That's who it's from. Looks
He
like
better,
Brandon.
he better be a Patreon and pay him more than $3 a month if that's the case.
indeed, Patterson, not Pattinson.
Oh, fuck off.
I was gonna say that.
Thank you. See, so
I'm Batman.
non-linear.
I'm
What?
Batman. I'm Batman.
Oh,
You look
fucking
like him.
I'm so sick of hearing about a new Batman. Not the movie. Not
No,
the
are we
movie.
off
The
the pet peeves?
actor.
This is not Dave's peeves section.
Sorry. Okay. The Slayer. Okay, now I never thought of this as being. He says it can be interpreted multiple ways.
Three
Now
different
that.
ways.
Pardon me.
3 different ways.
3? Okay, well, okay. By the way, spoiler, everybody, before we get into it. But that got me thinking, because I only saw the movie once before, and I just interpreted it as one way. But
Mhm.
now I'm curious. But anyway, that came from Robert. So, The Slayer. Yeah.
What do you mean? Are they thinking this is like a Bliss?
No.
No, I interpreted it one way when I watched it too, and then I looked it up and it actually says on different sites like, oh, it's known for being interpreted different ways. And then I thought about it and I do understand it now. But when I was watching it, there was only one way that I
Is
thought.
that boredom?
Oh, come on, you freaking hater.
No, it was a joke.
Yes.
Dude, this can easily be
So that's not
interpreted
the way?
3, maybe 4 different ways. And I don't know what it is. Look, it's not a long movie. It's under an hour and a half running time. I get that it does have a slow sort of build to it, but I'm just really drawn to it. I think the movie looks nice. It's very like surreal and dreamlike, and I think the cast is actually really good for a group of actors that really didn't do much after this.
Right, and I'm joking. I
Yeah.
agree with everything you just said there. Like, it does look really good, and the
Yeah.
acting's great. It's slow.
It is slow. It is slow.
It's a
I
slow
said
burn.
it's slow in the chat. He thinks I hate the fucking movie.
No,
I
I'm
don't hate
teasing
the
you.
movie.
You're allowed to hate the movie even if you do. I'm just saying.
Here we go.
There's
Now
a
I'm allowed
lot
to
of
hate whatever I
walking.
want.
There is a lot of walking. There's a lot of
Mhm.
yelling of names, but I love the
all?
isolated feel of it. I love that orchestral music that plays
Yeah,
throughout.
the music was exceptional in this.
Yeah,
it really
right?
fit the scenes. It was really well done.
And of course, I only first learned about this movie a few years ago when it got the Arrow release. And Derek was famous for always thinking, because it always had bad copies of it released, that the opening scene was a bag of oranges swinging, but it turns out it's the clock. So every time we talk about this movie, because this just made my top 50, I think it was like 49 or something. And I mentioned that on the top 50 show, the famous bag of oranges, which now with the beautiful restoration you could see is clearly a clock ticking back and forth. So that's a
funny.
shout out for
But
Derek. Yeah.
Dave is right.
Showed it.
Dave is right for like there is a lot of walking around, and the script
Yeah.
is pretty much a calling of names for maybe
It
a
is.
third of the movie.
And Kay's eyes being wide throughout the entire thing as well.
Dude, Kay's eyes.
Yeah. See,
She's looking,
Shocked.
it looks like she's
The
looking at
entire
Dave's
movie.
junk.
Dude,
Through the whole movie multiple times.
yeah, well, especially at the end when her eyes are about bulging out of her head.
Oh
and
my
she whispers,
God.
She goes, Junior.
Junior.
Dave doesn't even know what the hell's going on right now.
Poor Dave doesn't know what's happening.
Christian said Kay's eyes were so wide, like she was looking at your junk, and I said she whispered Junior at the end.
Oh, I didn't hear him say my junk.
Yeah, he said your
Okay.
junk.
Sorry. Okay. She sold it, man. Kay did good. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
she's
she
a good
fit the
actress.
role really well.
So-
Yeah, man.
I
So
didn't
what are
mind
these
this movie.
versions? What is the version, Carly, that you're talking about? Sorry for cutting you off there, but expand on it. So you saw it one way, and then you read this thing, and you thought it made more sense?
I didn't think it made more sense, but I kind of like I understand. I think there's only like, in my opinion, there was like 2 ways that you could kind of interpret it, and I don't really want to. I don't know if it would be given away because it's like
Well,
the ending of the film, right?
We jump all over. You could go ahead and spoil. How did you see it?
Like I saw it that the whole movie is basically just a dream.
Cool.
That was my initial way of seeing it from,
So
she
you
was
think
like-
she woke up as a kid and she had just dreamed it as a kid, not that.
Yeah, and it
this
was
is
like a premonition of what's gonna happen to her, like
Holy
when she's older.
shit.
like-
But
I
not
thought it was
that-
a premonition.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
I thought it was an
Yeah.
actual
Brilliant.
premonition.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I thought it was a
God.
premonition.
But if it's
Yeah.
a premonition,
Really, I thought
does
you guys
that
all
mean-
were on the same page.
If it's
okay.
a premonition,
Oh.
does that mean that it happened, or she's still a
Okay.
kid and it never happened?
I
Well,
was
that's why she's
thinking that-
afraid. Sorry, Carly.
No, it's okay. I was just thinking
No,
she
go
was like a kid and she was actually dreaming this because she's had these dreams like as a child, and then like it's gonna end up happening to her when she is older. And at the end, they bring that cat in. She's like terrified because that
Yeah.
was
She's gonna
also
kill it.
what she had
Yeah.
had. Yeah, she had that
Yeah.
envisioned as well. So that's kind of how I took it.
And I think that's
Wow.
probably the more popular of the interpretations.
But not
Mhm.
that she's still a kid. I took it that we're actually seeing
That
it
were
all
actually,
play out.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you could look at it both. I
Yeah.
understand Carly's, with the 2 sort of interpretations, but with the dream being a premonition or her just still being a kid and it just being a bad dream, still 2 of the more popular versus taking it for real and is there a monster that she's actually manifesting in her dreams, very much Nightmare on Elm Street like, before Nightmare on Elm Street, where
Mhm.
she's even drinking the coffee to stay awake, don't fall asleep. And she
Yeah.
is asleep when everyone else is killed, which I thought was really well done. Attention to detail.
Mhm.
Or is she or one of the other characters, particularly, it would only be Marsh at this point, the pilot, are one of them the killer?
Well, it'd be pretty difficult for her to be the killer with how some of those bodies are killed and where they're moved to. Like, it'd be pretty hard for a woman to carry that body all the way to that.
Yeah, I really never saw
whatever
her
it
as
was.
I think it'd be
Right?
really hard for a guy to carry
It'd
something.
be hard for
Yeah.
anybody to do that. You'd need a tag team. You would need a couple of people. I thought that
Mrs.
it was an
Voorhees.
interesting concept. Yeah, Mrs. Voorhees show up. I thought it was an interesting concept for that time. I'm not a big fan of it was all a dream, but I thought that that was cool. I thought that it was cool that she was foreseeing this, and it was almost like the entity was torturing her. There's nothing you can do. This is going to happen. And now you're going to live your whole life knowing that you're coming up to this point.
Well, it's almost like it did happen, and then the end scene is just thrown in there to show the context that she had, she knew about it from back then, because even her brother isn't, believing it. The brother tells his wife, Brooke, about the dream, and just says, about the cat in the freezer and all that.
Yep.
And sorry, Dave.
Dave looks dumbstruck. I got to find out what's happening here.
No, I'm not dumbstruck.
Or
What Carly
thunderstruck.
said, thunderstruck. No, Carly blew me away with that thing. Like, I feel like I just. went
Hey,
off a
this
whole
is Women
point.
in Horror Month. Let's keep it clean.
And about.
Junior out of this. It went up a whole point just now because I'm like, I always thought, yes, it's a very confusing ending. It's all in her head, but why that shot at the end with her as a child and the cat coming in and the surprise on her face made no sense. Now, by her saying that, now it makes all the sense in the world. That's why she sees the cat and she's like, oh, now to me, I think that's the only way I can interpret it. I think this movie just went up a full point. Like, I have what an appreciation for that. Just as that novelty is great. As a slasher, what you said about, Heather, the being able to move the bodies, to me, that's par for the course for 80s slashers. Any movie,
Yeah, that's true.
lot of times, where the
Yeah,
female's the
that's
killer, too. We've seen that so many times.
Yeah.
Giallos and things like that, and later on it's revealed it's a female, and these men are like hulking men that she's killed. I guess, it's just part of the charm.
Well, I think there's one thing about killing someone and leaving them in their spot, but then to move the body would be a lot more work, right?
Yeah, I can't move a person at all. Like,
well, dead bodies are even heavier, so not that I would
couldn't
know.
move that guy. I know I couldn't. That guy was like fucking 220 pounds. I'm going to move that guy? Get the fuck out of here. I'm fucking 5'8".
You haven't been pumping it up? You haven't been lifting weights there, Dave? Ready to move some bodies around?
I'm strong enough, but I don't think I can drag a guy across a beach that's been hanging in a
You're
fucking
blowing, though.
I don't think I could do it.
We could also be experiencing a complete psychotic break where we don't know what timeline we're in by the end, because we even get that quote in the film, "When I wake up, my real life will be over. My dreams will have taken over." She says
It's
that.
all about her dreams. So that ties into it even more so.
Yes, but we don't know what's real, what's up, what's down, what's real, what's not by the end. Almost.
Well, I understand, but Carly saved it. I'm telling you. Sometimes I see that. Like, I'm watching a movie and I say, if I can explain something away, I'm happy. Just what she said explained the whole movie away to me. Remember I've said that, like with Slaughter High. Oh, you can explain it away because it's a dream. You can explain this away. When that happens,
you don't take a shower or a bath after someone's murdered in the school.
In a dream, you do. Anything can happen in a dream. It's the Nancy angle. It's the same thing with Nightmare 1 with my theory, not just mine, but a lot of people. The whole entire movie is a dream.
It's the Kurt angle.
Nice. I enjoy it even more so for that. Now, I'm not going to give the whole movie a pass because the movie still needed a third couple to go up with them. That's all this movie needed was a third couple and 2 extra red shirts, a couple more glorious kills, because the kills for the most part were good. That's what it needed. Instead, we have 20 minutes of walking around where it would have been better served to have, 2 10-minute scenes of people walking around, but at the end you get a punchline out of it.
But I like it though because she's discovering the architecture of the island and realizing that these are the drawings that she's been doing. So she's having this deja vu every 2 seconds, and it's really cool, really creepy and atmospheric. I do agree an extra couple would have been there. They actually threw the fisherman, Wally, in.
Yeah, me.
Yeah, I need a woman or a dog.
Get a dog.
They threw him in, I guess, for like an added kill, but the kills are solid. Particularly, obviously the pitchfork kill is great, and I even like Eric's kill. That's brutal with the fishing wire.
I like David's in the attic. I thought that was the attic.
Yeah,
or
that
whatever,
was
the
actually
elevator
my
shaft and the
favorite
head,
one.
and I thought it was
It was
really well done.
gross. Like the use of
practical
blood was really
effects.
gross.
Yeah.
I agree. I think if they just had one more couple, it could have made it so it didn't feel so dragged out. Because
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
did do really well. with
Walking
the
around,
kills.
we're killing.
Yeah,
I
and then I
agree.
hate it's one of those movies where it's like that dude, what's his name, Eric, at the first guy who gets killed, he goes missing, and then they're like, oh, he probably just ran off and got into something, and I'm like, come on, like.
I know he's gone for like 3 days, and they're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, like oh, definitely.
That was
Like,
ridiculous.
he's just,
Yeah,
We're just
Oh,
catching
fuck.
seashells.
in the house anymore. He's just out. Like yeah, exactly. Like I hate that in movies. I would be freaking out if one of my friends went missing and we're on a deserted island.
Yeah, for
Or
more
the-
than
like,
3 hours, you would be like, where the fuck did they go? Like, we
Yeah.
need to find them,
I
right?
thought they were fairly rational because at first you'd be like, all right, he probably just went out exploring. It's not a huge island, but it's a bigger island.
There's
But
no
she
way
did
off of it. after day
that's
2.
true. But they do eventually find his body and stuff. But
Well, if that was the end result, it should have happened sooner, I think.
maybe. But I'll give it a pass. The one thing that kind of made it a little bit more worrisome sooner was the fact that they're like, well, only his bathrobe is missing. So clearly something's up. You don't go out taking pictures and exploring the island in your bathrobe.
I won't give it a pass, and I'll tell you why. Because these are adults. It's odd to begin with that in 1982, this is a very off the beaten path type of slasher because we have adults here instead of teenagers. Now, if it were teenagers, yeah, you never know what a kid's gonna do. Oh yeah, he's off just doing something. That's kids. But grown men and women, I just don't see it them being so passe. Like if we were going out somewhere, the 5 of us, and someone disappeared for 3 hours, I think that there would be a little sense of urgency. But if teenagers did it, it's different. He's getting into something, he's getting high, he's looking for something, or 2 people are hooking up, but I just don't think adults would rationalize it, so laissez-faire and just be like, oh yeah, fucking, he's gone.
Laissez-faire. Ooh.
What really made the movie for me was the scenery, and it was filmed in Georgia, which I was shocked. I looked it up because I thought it was filmed in an Atlantic province or somewhere like that, and I really liked how they used all the sets. I thought it was really well filmed, really well done. The music to me also made it move because I agree it was slow, but the music for each of the scenes, even at the beginning where he's getting ready in the kitchen and the music's very nice and it starts to get darker and darker as when he cuts himself.
The foreboding music when he gets a shaving. That was the only thing that was like weird. I'm like that, like you didn't need to do that.
But it was good, and I thought the plot followed along pretty well for an 80s film. Like it didn't leave too many plot holes that you can't forgive by movie magic, right? Like, I don't know if I would rewatch it multiple times because I did find it kind of slow. But Kay's eyes definitely made it for me because her reactions were pretty mint throughout it. But yeah, those were my general thoughts on it.
I made a joke on the chat. I said, if anybody gets upset with Alice lighting the lanterns and making coffee and the whole scene at the end of Friday the 13th and says that that's slow, I said, if they watch this movie, they are going to be just dreading it because there is literally a lot of her just lingering around the house at the end before the big finish. And I stand corrected. I forgot when Dave started talking about the cat coming in. I'm like, I know that scene's in the movie. I forgot that was the very last scene. So obviously it was a premonition and a dream, and not, she couldn't have lived it out. But we were seeing it all play out within her dream. I was saying that the movie could have.
Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
I totally forgot that the last scene in the movie was her waking up.
Yeah, as a kid.
With the cat. Yeah, I totally.
With the cat coming in the room.
Yeah.
Christmas morning, I think.
So
yeah, it was Christmas morning. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying it was all a dream.
Yeah, but it's still a premonition. But still, that's why we don't know why. We have never been explained a reason why. But yes, she has this.
I like it because that's the thing. It gives you red herrings and gives you an opportunity to interpret this as a straightforward slasher, as a monster film, as a psychological film, and even at the end, even though it is a dream and a premonition, you still don't know how it's going to play out. Is she just crazy, or is it going to actually play out as a monster film or as a slasher? I love the scene when Eric's killed and dragged out into the water. You could actually see in the distance the thing dragging it. You can't make out whether it's a person or a monster. There's just enough there to just keep you intrigued by it. I'm not saying it's amazing, and I don't think I'm going to be much higher than some of you guys, but I don't know. I'm just really drawn to this film for some reason.
Maybe it is her. Then maybe you're right, because maybe it is her, because that monster is ridiculous, and it was all in like Suspiria red.
I love it.
Colors. Mm-hmm. So maybe they were just saying like it was a vision. She was, again, because it's a dream, it's just a vision of her. and she doesn't
Yeah.
know.
I
So
like when she's
again, I
kissing the
never gave
severed
this
head.
credit before. Kissing
Yeah.
the severed head. Yeah.
In the bed when she turned
Yeah,
it
that-
over to her
Oh,
husband,
yeah,
that
and
was
then
good.
like
That
I
was
was
gross.
waiting for her to be like, "Oh, you're gonna find out. You're gonna find out."
Yeah.
I thought that was a great scene.
Which explains that scene a little bit more so too. But then can a monster really, like that monster coming in and nonchalantly putting a head in? That's why you say maybe the monster is her, and Brandon, I'll give you that.
Maybe so.
Maybe we're the monsters, and the movie
Yeah.
never happened.
Oh,
Wow.
Dave hates when I do that.
He looks so mad.
Dave gets
Okay.
so mad whenever I try to do a real deep dive on film. I'm kidding, Dave.
you know why? Because
I'm
it
not-
takes you back to the whole Cannibal Holocaust ending. That's what it takes me back to.
Cannibal Holocaust is a 10 out of
Aw.
10. This is not a 10 out of 10. I won't
I don't
go
want to
there.
think about it. I don't want to. It's anyway. Here's a question. I don't and you guys just might laugh at me, but at the end of the movie, right before the end, whatever. I mean, who is that guy that all of a sudden just shows up?
Marsh,
And he has all
Mark,
the rain
like-
gear on.
the pilot.
Yeah.
I thought he got
Crazy
killed.
pilot
the
that
pilot.
they-
No,
No, that was the
she kills
fisherman.
him. No, that
Okay,
wasn't
he
the
sure
fisherman.
looked-
Wally got killed. Yeah,
Oh,
the
he
fisherman.
looked a
No, I
lot
think he's
different.
mixing up. Yeah.
He
Yeah,
just
you're
looked a
mixing-
lot. He didn't look anything like he did. If he's the pilot in the beginning, he didn't look anything like that. He had much darker hair. His face looked fuller. He did not look like the same
No,
guy.
he looked exactly the same. Because they
Oh, they-
set
I
him up
don't
as a crazy
remember.
red herring.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I knew who it was.
or a
I
Jerry
know
herring,
that.
Or Jerry herring.
Or
And he was in it.
or a pickled herring. Yeah, Jerry herring. Great job playing Kay, by the way.
Oh, Kay's great. Okay, so anyway, that's who it was. See, I couldn't.
Yeah.
It makes sense, but his appearance looked a lot different to me when he came in on that scene. And then if he's wet and he's coming in that room and she shoots him with a flare gun, that there had to be a flare gun, right?
It was a flare
Yeah.
gun. Yes.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah,
if I
yeah.
shoot you with a flare gun, are
What-
you gonna just burst into flames and the whole room burst into flames?
Clearly.
He was wet with gasoline. I don't
Yeah,
know
it was
if you knew
raining
that.
gasoline.
He doused himself with gasoline before he came out.
Why are you trying to bring the
It-
movie down for us?
I'm not, but hold on. And now it makes sense because that was my
It's a
beef.
dream.
But now if it's a dream, it makes sense.
There you
I
go.
went up
There
full
you go.
point. I gotta say that ending, it saved
Flutter
the movie.
high, no problem with. This problems abound.
Well, no. I'm just reading my notes. This is what I thought before the revelation of it being a dream. That's what I'm trying to say. So now, but still, I still had to read my notes because I was a little bit confused at the guy's appearance. But it was crazy. But now, like I said, now I've come up. But I wish there was more kills. That's the bottom line.
Well,
It's a
yeah.
slasher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
All in
nailed
all, I
it.
thought it was
Another
pretty
couple.
fun. I mean, I just
Yep.
thought like that final act when it's just she's the only one left. I got a little bit bored with that. It's like, okay, let's just move on with it when she's just in the house trying to stay awake. So I do wish there was a little bit more in that aspect, but I had more fun than I thought because I think I've seen people say like this one's not that good of a movie, and I actually I would rewatch it if I'm being honest.
Same here.
Not right away, but yeah.
No, Carly, what if she was
1.5.
naked for the final act? Would that have brought it up? Like, if she was just stark naked for the end scene?
I
would that-
would've
It
loved
goes
it.
up another
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
huge.
Not the end scene because she was only 10 years old. The
Yeah.
scene before.
Not the- let's be clear.
Not the yank man.
Oh my
What
God.
if she shot the flare right out of her fire crotch?
That would have been even more entertaining.
I actually, yeah, that would be,
Why didn't that happen?
Yes.
I would be very high. I'm picturing that in my head. That
We should do that in our movie. That should be part of
That
our
should-
movie.
That's the
It's
ending.
called the
Absolutely.
Slayer. Why the title? Was there a different title to this movie?
What
I
did
have
you-
no
what was the
idea.
other- Nightmare something you said?
Nightmare
Something?
Weekend? No.
Nightmare Weekend.
No,
Nightmare
no,
Beach.
don't watch that. That's like
No?
Spookies. Don't even attempt Nightmare Weekend.
I think he said Nightmare Beach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Nightmare Beach. You said that's it.
Well, that makes way more sense.
Yeah, why not? No,
Blair
pardon,
just sounds cooler, but it doesn't really
Yep.
make much sense.
Nightmare Island. That was
Nightmare Island.
I could like Nightmare Island.
Yeah, why not?
I think it's the idea that there was an entity that haunted her throughout her. Because she remembers she
Yeah,
talked
that was
these
Slayer.
streets my entire life. This thing keeps coming after me. So the idea of the Slayer stalking her throughout her time. I liked that concept of it. That's what I
Yeah.
took.
And up to the
waited the
very
whole
last
movie.
scene, you don't know how it's gonna end, and that's
Yeah, you
great.
don't.
Then you see the creature, and then boom, it cuts to this, and it's like it just leaves you scratching your head for a little bit, and then you think about it, and you're like, oh wow,
Stupid.
wow, stupid. Yeah, this fucking
I'm
sucks.
Was I the only one waiting to hear Rain of Blood and it never came?
Again.
I don't know what
right?
Rain Blood is. It's a song?
Slayer. It was a popular song by Slayer.
Okay.
The metalheads out there will get it.
Yes, any Slayer would have been nice in this movie. During all those downtime scenes, anything, speed it up a bit, keep you awake. Fucking. I'll admit, I do not mind the final girl thing at the end, the 20 minutes, even though she did do the Alice coffee making scene, and it was a little slow. But in retrospect, because of the revelation, I don't mind spending more one-on-one time with her. My beat was the second act and them looking for the missing people walking around.
Yeah.
It was tremendously slow. This movie is 1.5 all the way. If you 1.5 it, it's a pretty damn good movie. That's what you need, though.
1.5
Gotta
sounds
have
like
a
a good
place
idea if I rewatch it.
If you're drunk, high on LSD,
Yep.
1.5 it with the sound and picture off, it's amazing. Dave does this all the time. If you watch this movie without even putting it on, it's amazing.
10 out of 10.
Oh,
I feel you. That second act is where the added kills probably would have been better.
indeed.
But I'm very impressed every time I watch this. 1982, very early on, really well done.
I think back in the day, and I could be wrong with it, I thought this was on a double VHS with Scalps. It was Scalps and the Slayer, and none of them looked interesting to me. So or neither looked interesting to me, so I never rented it. And I remember hearing really poor reviews for it. But Brandon, I'll give you credit. It looks good. I find it is a little slow, but I will watch this again. There's some intrigue there.
Yeah.
The lighting and Heather, what you said, not just with the music, but even just the setting, it works.
It works.
There it is.
Oh, there it is.
Oh.
Spot on.
Old school.
I never saw Scalps though.
I did.
yeah.
Wasn't impressed.
Yeah.
No.
Didn't see the Slayer until, because this was one of those movies that was you
Video
couldn't get it
nasty.
anywhere. It was a
Video
forgotten,
nasty, too.
and it was a forgotten
Nasty?
slasher,
Yeah.
which to me was a big deal. So I had this website I used to go to, and I used to get VHS rips of movies that never made it to physical outside of VHS because it wasn't even on DVD. So I actually owned this movie for years. It was one of those movies, this Edge of the Axe, which finally got a release recently as well. And there's a couple others. Mutilator, for the longest time, had no release. And this was one of those that fell in because I wanted to own every single 80s slasher. You know, that was my goal at one time.
Nice.
So I got this one from the VHS rip, and I got it, and I watched it, completely forgot everything about it. And then I didn't watch it again until the year of the slasher, which at that time I was like, yeah, okay, 6 out of 10, good ending. And then this is the third time I watched it. But at least I've come up on it. But, you know. Do we have final thoughts and ratings, Watson? Apparently, Watson says it all the time.
Exclusive for us. No other podcast does this. Final thoughts and ratings.
FT&R. Yeah, because it's FT&R on our show. See?
FT&R.
FT&R.
Sure.
FT&R's people.
I
Ladies-
could go. I'll
Ladies
go.
first. Ladies
Um,
first. See?
I would probably give it a 7 out of 10. I think it's solid. For me, that's an average rating. I was entertained. I liked the ending to it. I always like looking deeper into movies, so I'm like, oh, this thing's gonna haunt her for the rest of her life, as I've mentioned a couple of times before. The scenery was beautiful, breathtaking. The acting was decent enough, and I thought the practical effects that were in it were decent enough as well. I enjoyed him being Eric being dragged out to sea. I thought that was really cool as well. So a 7. I would rewatch it again, probably at a 1.5, maybe with drinks.
Nice.
1.5. 2.5.
Carly.
1.25 is a magic.
2.5. 2.5.
Oh,
3.5. I don't know. I'll just
1.5 is too fast.
But
1.25 is ideal.
1.25. I'll do that. 1.25 moving forward.
Yeah.
Good luck.
You almost can't recognize it with the naked eye or the clothed eye.
He wrote that joke down.
I did. I swear. That's the genius of this brain. That just comes to me.
That's the teacher jokes coming out.
Yeah, gotta happen.
Yeah, jokes.
Yep.
Yeah, so this movie was a first time watch for me. I didn't even know exactly that it was a slasher, because when I think of a slasher, I think of someone going around killing people, and then, you know, this one was kind of like, this woman's haunted by her mind, people are coming up missing. So I didn't know if it was a slasher or not, and I kind of went in completely blind on it, and yeah, I was pretty entertained by it. I was happier with it than I thought I would be. Like I said, I would definitely rewatch it in the future. It has flaws. I don't think it's the best movie or best slasher in the world, but I enjoyed the kills and I thought it was well casted. So I give it a 6.5 out of 10.
Cool. Well, I'll go next because Brandon seemed to think I was going to hate this, and I remember watching this for the slasher show, and I think I gave it like a 6 out of 10. Watched it this time, and I enjoyed it a lot more. I will say that I won't go quite to a 7, but I'll do a Christian exclusive 6.75 out of 10.
The Dave Z rating. That's a
Yeah,
made-up
the
number.
Dave Z. Yep, it is. It's the Dave
We
Z.
do quarter rateds, in case you forgot. So you're welcome to go up a quarter or down a quarter.
The guests are never that pretentious with the
Or
quotes.
loan me a quarter.
Pretentious, we don't use that
Yeah,
word.
I'm
on
not
this
an
show.
asshole, sorry.
I know, but people think we are pretentious for using them.
not an
I've
I'm
heard people say
pretentious.
it.
I wanted
See?
to go IMDb ratings and do 7.1, 7.2, 7.3.
All right, Watson.
Oh, we should do that.
Remember Watson did that for like a minute? He was doing the fucking 7.2.
I love that guy.
Love it.
Love that guy.
That's
Love that little chunk.
The greatest.
The Goonie guy. Sorry.
Unbelievable.
Go ahead. Dave, are you going next?
I'll go. I went up a full point, like I said, because of what Carly said. It's amazing to me. Yeah, great job, Carly. You
Thanks.
brought it. Yeah, man, that's awesome because I love when I can explain, inaccuracies in movies, and that worked. And I'm a sucker for that kind of an ending. So it's very cool just to think that she had that premonition. Imagine the mind of a 10-year-old girl, however old she is, having the presence of mind to have a dream that detailed and that fucked up. That's crazy, man. Just granted, it's all fiction, but damn, it's just a cool
Magic of
idea.
movies.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's what makes it even better. Is it fiction? What happens after she wakes up and she realizes that dream? Does she become a nutcase? Does her premonition play out? And if it does play out, does it play out with her being a killer, or does it play out with her manifesting some sort of monster in the night?
I know
in her
what happens.
nightmares? What?
I know exactly what happens. She kicks the cat. The family then says, throws the cat out into the streets, and then one day a lowly trash driver sees it and picks it up. Boom, Life of Lucky. There you go.
Life of Lucky. That was the other alternate title for this film.
And
It's
the
great
premise
that
for
you
a
came
movie.
up a whole point on it, but we don't know where you started or where that point actually finished.
I was about to be. You interrupted me. I was right there.
You were
I
right.
was a 6 out of 10 on the slasher show. Therefore, I am a 7 out of 10 now. So, yippee.
All right. I'll keep it quick because we should wrap this one up. But I said this made I think it was like number 49 on my list. And we know where we started. I'm right there with you. I'm a 7 out of 10, but I really enjoy it. I just feel like I enjoy it more, but I knew we were going to all come in around the same rating.
Every time.
I'm sorry,
love that.
it's not a 9 out of 10. It's a 7 out of 10. It's a really solid 7 out of 10. A fun slasher, great atmosphere. I love the open interpretations, the red herrings, the kills, all of it. Could have used a few more kills? Yes, that would have been great for that middle area, as Dave pointed out. But solid 7 out of 10. I'm glad I own it. I've seen it about 3 times. I'll revisit it once a year, once every 2 years. I'm glad it's in the collection.
It's also on Tubi TV for anybody out there.
That's where I
Yes.
watched it.
Canadian edition.
To be continued.
It's only on Tubi. I don't think you can get it. I mean, it's out on physical, but I mean, you can't even.
It was on Prime for a while because Arrow was, putting a lot of their movies on Prime for a while, but now you have to pay to rent it on Amazon.
Well, it's funny. The Tubi artwork is the Arrow Blu-ray cover. So I'm assuming that they're doing they're getting the rights to be able to screen them.
You know why? Because they never had a physical except for the VHS. So it's been freaking 30 years since there's been any artwork for it. So anytime it's updated, you would think that a streaming company wants to make it look better. So let's put this new fancy artwork on it, and that just becomes what happens. So yeah, onward we go. Now we go to a classic movie, and that is going to bring us to Christine.
Second feature review, 1983, John Carpenter's Christine. Novel written by Stephen King, screenplay written by Bill Phillips. A nerdish boy buys a strange car with an evil mind of its own, and his nature starts to change to reflect it.
I just want to say, look how good Brandon looks. There's no computer glare shooting off, looking like he's gonna die.
Dude, I gotta be honest. I've never seen myself with color. I'm kind of shocked. I actually have complexion.
There's pigmentation. He looks like a human.
There's pigmentation.
I would fuck him if I was gay. I'd fuck you. Never before. But
I wouldn't
today,
have
yeah.
to be gay to do that. If it makes you feel any better, I would just do it.
Yeah. I don't know if that was a premonition, but we'll see.
But we'll see what happens.
I'm ready to slay her.
You could do it.
I like that.
Do it. Move to Ontario, right? And then we can all be close together. You guys can move in together, and then we can make our movie, and then Brandon and Christian will live in the same city with Heather, and I just got to drive over. Sorry, Carly, you're too far away.
What if y'all just move down here?
Carly, you can come too.
Fuck there.
It's
not far.
Other than Monroeville Mall, what the hell
What
are
the
we going to do
crazy
down
thing
there?
is, JP invited me to that drive-in thing that they do like a year or two ago. And just invited, and then never like followed up with it. Never like gave me details or anything. It was only like 3.5 hours away.
I think he asked you if you were coming, and it was like the day of, and you were like, no, you didn't tell me. Like, I was pissed because I was like, I wanted Brandon to come, and then there was a convention.
When are you doing? You're doing it in April?
Well, that one is that one's
one for you
around
guys?
here. There's another one in August. That's the
Suddenly
one
it's in
that we
March.
drove. There's one. It's
April.
the Mahoning Drive-In. That one is the one we went to last year, I think, that he was talking about.
Yeah.
And that was
do
the
it.
time we ever went. Let's do it.
I'll drive down to Pennsylvania. I'll travel.
All right.
I got a passport. I can travel.
We should do it. We need a meetup. Everybody always talking, oh, we're gonna all meet up. It's time to have a meetup.
These guys
I
can't
would
come
go.
here because I guarantee they don't have passports.
I know
Except for
you and I
Dave.
have a passport. That's why.
I'm American.
I have an
They're like, "You
enhanced
need a passport
I
to go
have
in
a passport.
here?" What?
No, Dave has one.
Why do you need a passport to go to Canada?
You do.
Why?
I've never traveled out of.
It's your fucking laws. We used to just
Come
have
on,
a
Carly,
driver's
live a
license.
little.
And get it out
Niagara
with
Falls
a license.
Horror Fest.
Mhm.
That's where we should go. The Niagara Falls Horror Fest is
I'm
coming.
down.
and
Do I need a
I
passport?
blow it off every year. It's
Or you can
nothing
get an
great.
enhanced license.
What's that, Heather?
I think he can get an enhanced license because that's what Scott's looking at getting.
That's what I have.
Yeah. So I think you can do that too.
Someone at my work
For
just.
you guys,
brought
it
that.
works. For us, we need passports.
Yeah, I get passports. I prefer a passport anyway, but that's.
Anyway.
We should all get together.
Sorry, listeners. We're making plans here, so just
Yeah.
just hold your horses.
An epic
If you want to
podcast.
join us,
Come.
$5 Patreon.
That-
I'm kidding. Join.
You
Where did he go?
We
And
left.
he's missing.
That's it.
Where did you go? Me?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
We introduced the movie, and then I started talking about how good you looked,
oh,
and
sorry.
we
I
were
was,
right off the trail. So
I
maybe we
might-
should bring it back in.
no, I
Okay.
write
Does he
real-
look like Arnie? Does Brandon look like Arnie?
I call him Arnie.
Arnie. He looks better than Arnie.
I love
Oh,
Keith
he looks
Gordon.
bad.
I love Keith Gordon. The only
he's good.
misfire here, you know, with
Uh-oh.
with Arnie's character, did they have to go so stereotypical nerd? Like, did it
No.
have to be that
It was a
extreme?
little-
I
What
It
agree.
was
Big
extreme on both
glasses.
sides, to be
I
honest.
didn't think it was that extreme after. It just looked like he took a shower, put on some nice clothes, had a little confidence, brushed his hair, and that's fine. He
Yeah, but
presented
when
himself
they
well.
get evil at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's
The
more.
light of it-
But that's the
very
car.
dramatic.
That's the car. Starting to
Possession.
That's, exactly. But the beginning, it's like, ooh, point that.
When he
Greek-
runs out
yeah.
the garbage breaks and everything like that. Like,
Yeah.
you must be a nerd for the garbage to break.
Dude, when the garbage
Of course.
broke and he's like, "Is this okay, Mom?" I would have been like, "No, you little fucking shit! Look at this mess you made." And then he's running through the puddles. It's like, you.
Well, they are
nerd.
asshole parents, kinda.
They
Yeah.
are.
Yep.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
are.
They
They're the
are.
reason.
Well, she
like
is.
that.
Oh, she's
I-
nasty.
just a pussy.
I have one issue. Brandon, you mentioned this when we were on the break portion. I'm going to just kind of bring it in. You said if one movie runs a little too long, this is one example of a movie I could say, I wish it was 10 to 20 minutes longer because we need Arnie's arc to play out better because he's geeky and then he's confident and then suddenly his girlfriend's like, he's with that girl and she just kind of is there, and then suddenly she's like, I don't trust that car, Arnie. It's like one
Yeah.
scene later, you're like, what the fuck? Like, they needed another 1 or 2 transition scenes.
So
to
you say they
build
should
on.
have stuck with like the novel ending then, and had Arnie sort of redeemed?
I would like to say yes, but since I haven't read the novel, that I would have to just.
I
lie.
looked up the ending.
Okay.
So I'll talk about that later if you
Okay,
guys want to
so,
hear
yeah.
it. So
No, I just think within the movie version that John Carpenter presented, I actually feel, and again, maybe if anybody's out there, I know that he had some studio interference with a lot of his films, which is why he went like the independent route when he got the Prince of Darkness and everything. I feel like there's studio interference here, and they probably chopped this movie down a bit to make it more marketable in the length category for what they wanted for a horror film at the time. But I swear it could have used another 10, 15 minutes at least just to build on that. First time, I usually go the other route and say if they just trimmed that out, that would have been great. And now I wanted more.
I feel like he goes from being dorky to like cool way too fast. It's like he's like a nerd, then he gets the car, then the next scene it's like he's not wearing glasses, and it's like, oh, that's it. It's like She's All That, where they like take out his ponytail. That's what it reminds me of. And now suddenly he's a badass.
I think you make a good point though. The relationship never develops. We see them making out by the car. The guy misses the catch, and then all of a sudden she's in the car, and she's like, "I don't like this car. We can't have sex in it." Like there's no like in between of them.
They needed something else, and that's my only fault. Like really, the only fault of the movie, in my opinion. I love this. I love this score. I've said that this kind of reminds me of, like, you could almost tell he was working on like Halloween 3 and this at the same time.
Like the same thing. Yeah.
Aren't some of those shots like on the same street when they're running? Like it looked like identical.
It looked like it could have been Halloween 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
The opening is Haddonfield. Do you know that?
Oh,
and you
no,
can totally see
I didn't know that, but some of the scenes I saw reminded me. I was like, "This is Halloween. This is Halloween 3." I'm like, it felt a little. The music felt a little Assault on Precinct 13 at sometimes.
Oh, the music was exact.
All great Carpenter touches, of course.
100%. It was the same year of Halloween 3 with the soundtrack with Carpenter and Alan Howarth, and two amazing soundtracks. And the opening shot of what's his name? When he's driving the car, not Arnie. What's his buddy's name? I should know it. Dennis. Okay. When they have the transition of Dennis driving to school to pick up Arnie on the first day, every time I see it, I automatically think of Haddonfield. It looks just I think it's the same street and everything. It's crazy. It's a lot more green for sure, but I'm pretty sure it was shot in the same California
area?
Streets.
It's not Dean Cundy, the cinematographer, because I just double checked that, because I almost thought, because there were so many similarities, that it might have been, but it wasn't. So,
no,
but I agree,
doing, Halloween 3 at the time, like Carpenter. But then again, Carpenter was there for both of them. Oh, no, wait, Carpenter did not direct Halloween 3, so no, so that's why he was. Yeah, okay. So I think they were shooting Halloween 3 probably around the same time. They came out the same year, so
yeah,
they're right there.
You know, made me laugh. The first guy on the assembly line when Christine's coming down and the thing closes.
Why?
How much? No, not only that. Forget why. Like, yeah, she's a lady. She doesn't want to be touched by this guy's greasy hands. But did you see how much gauze he had wrapped around his hands?
Oh yeah, it was like a whole.
Yeah, he had like a bear claw of like gauze.
It was like a Naked Gun sketch almost. Like you look like a huge Q-tip.
But I kind of liked it though. You know, the other guy disrespects her by flicking his ash on the seat.
Yep.
And I kind of like
put up with that shit.
Exactly. You're gonna treat me like a lady.
I like how they got George Thorogood in here. I love Bad to the Bone. It's a great song. What an excellent opening, right? Like, man.
That's what I always was just about to say, that, Heather. Perfect. I was going to say, I always think it opens with that song, but it actually opens with the revving of the car.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right.
And I always forget that. And I actually don't know if it was needed. It works, but I would think it would have been awesome if it just kicked in with Bad to the Bone.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate. Again, minor nitpick.
Soundtrack's amazing. I mean, between the score and all the songs they use in this.
Oh boy,
I mean,
there's just a whole lot.
Yeah,
and the songs really represent. Like, there's one part where he gets into Christine after he's had that fight with his girlfriend, and Dion and the Belmonts, I Wonder Why plays. And I looked up all the songs, and this one was from 1958, and it was about a man who couldn't figure out why he loved his girlfriend so much, but was just obsessed with her. And I thought, what a perfect moment to insert that song. Because I love the soundtrack. I think it's great that the car was like a 1957 that they made into a 1958 looking like car. And then they pulled all those 50 songs from the songs from the 50s, and especially that one from actually 1958. I don't know if they did that purposely, but I thought that was a really cool tie-in.
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah, great attention.
They did, and that was my discovery. That's what I was telling you guys about in chat. That was my discovery that I never noticed all these years, because I randomly looked up one song. Mostly because you know that one song, Little Bitty Pretty One, Little Bitty
Yeah.
Pretty One.
Yep.
Okay, the beginning when it goes, Okay, I love that shot.
Give
I
us a
love
little
that
more.
kill. Dude, that whole scene is great. I always said if I was ever gonna kill somebody in my car, I would start off by playing that song. That's how
I
much I love
always
the
say
movie.
he always says that.
Oh,
Yeah.
How often
I've
do you
said it
think
for
of this?
years.
That,
I've said it for years. If I was
it's a
gonna
good
kill someone
song to
driving,
use.
just to creep up, it's a perfect song to creep up at the beginning.
Mhm.
And then you get to notice them. So I looked the song up. I wanted to know what it was called because I forgot the title. So I did this. No, I looked it up. Frankie Lyman, released 1958. As soon as I saw that, it got me
Ah.
thinking. This car was it's released in 58, manufactured in 57.
Yeah.
Pardon.
Yeah.
that's right.
Wait, hold on.
Or was it
No,
57 and they made
no.
it up to look like a 58? Was that the situation?
It was a 58, but it
Okay.
was released in 57 because George himself, LeBay, when they went to see him, says they roll out the new ones in September. So it was a 58, but it was released September 57 because they come out a few months early, new cars. At least that's how it was at that time. So basically, I see that it says 58. Then I go down the rabbit hole and I think about all the songs in the movie. And I go, Keep a Knockin' by
Little Richard, yep.
What year was that? Hold on. I had them. I had every
Keep
single
it
one
knocking
of
and you
them.
won't get in. That one, that was awesome too. Yeah.
Keep on knocking, but you can't come in. Okay, that was released.
I just wanted him to sing because everyone loves it.
Yeah, I guess
Just sing
it
them
was
all.
released.
If it's song you bring up.
It was released in 57. Then Not Fade Away, Buddy Holly. 1957, November 1st. So
How does that
every
one go?
song they used, We Belong Together, a 1958 American Rhythm and Blues hit by Robert and Johnny. Every song was 57 or 58. Pledging My Love by Johnny Ace was the only one that was not. It was 19.
And George Thorogood
Well,
and the
true,
Destroyers, Bad to the Bone,
right?
right?
But
That
I
was-
mean songs
yeah.
that Christine herself played.
Yes.
Anything that Christine played was purposely done in 57. It had to
Yeah.
have been. Why would they
Yeah.
choose those exact years? And there's more examples that was going on. That one dropped the ball, Pledging My Love, although it's, again, they always chose the perfect song to play for the
Yeah.
situation at hand. So
Yes.
Pledging My Love is a great song because it was the scene where he gets into the fight with the girl and then he leaves and and she wouldn't start. He's like, come on, he goes, everything's the way it was. And then she starts up and she's happy and she's singing, I'm pledging my love to you. I love those little, oh man. I don't want to
It's
blow
all
this.
from those era like that. That is good stuff. That was the revelation that you realized that they're all from back then.
They were all from the same year. Like they were the first four songs I looked all said 57. Then I saw a couple that said 58, but I'm like, what? How smart of them to go just to that time period and just use those exact songs. Even at the end, Rock and Roll Is Here to Stay, which is the one that was playing on the radio, 1958. So the detail that they went through just to make sure it was just that time, I thought was brilliant. I'm like,
Yeah, I don't want to sound like a
couple
dick, but I
songs.
felt like they were probably all around the same time. I'm glad you and Heather looked up all this stuff and did it because it's good to know for a fact, but like great
There's
detail
three of
with
us
the
that are like,
music.
yeah, we expected that. Like,
No, but it's awesome because that's when Christine's born. That's in the novel when she
Right.
falls in love with George. Is it George?
George
LeBay?
is the brother.
No,
The other
Roland.
Yeah.
Was
Roland.
and so when she falls in love with
rolling.
yeah, so it makes sense that would be the soundtrack to their love, and then when he's dead, she sort of dies too until she meets
Right.
the next person who looks at her the way Roland did,
Mhm.
which is really cool, really, really well done.
It's great, and it's a possession, and basically what you see with the Arnie character is the way he's dressing in the second half of the film after he takes off the glasses and everything else, and it progresses more and more. He looks like a person from 1958.
he looks like a greaser.
He looks like a greaser.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he's from Greece.
Yeah.
Well,
He's greased.
in the novel, it's really possession by Roland's character more
True.
so than Christine, so that's why it's taken on that time frame, I guess. But
Right.
but it makes sense either way.
They didn't have time to do that, and it's too bad because they could have added that. Adding Roland in the back seat talking to him was a whole other thing that they did in the book. It would have
Yeah.
taken up too much time. I like the idea that I think we're all saying, where it would have been just normal. It would have been better to see the progression. Like there was a cut scene where, granted it's just one scene, but it's one extra time where Arnie goes to the hospital to visit Dennis after the accident,
Mm.
because that's the first time you see Arnie changed. Like you see him really quick when he's making out with the girl, but then the next time you see him, it's in the hospital when he's visiting Dennis. He looks all different, but it's like, and they show the dates. They try to do it. I think one says like November. They have like
Yeah.
it's like a
You know,
2
from
months
Halloween
later.
to Christmas to
So
progressive.
it does make sense, but the thing is, it literally, one scene ends and then the next scene starts and it's 2 months later. Where it would
Yeah.
have been nicer to see progression on film, spending more time. So I agree with everybody there, but that's like the only nitpick for me.
I love the dialogue with his parents when he first buys the car and he comes back and it's the first time he fights with his parents, and then he gets aggressively more verbally violent with his parents to the point where he chokes his father.
Oh my God, that scene
Right?
is when
And
he
it-
chokes
and
his
it
father.
Brandon
builds.
vicariously
builds.
lives through that.
Ooh.
Right, as he's going through this
Oh.
like with this relationship with this car, you start to see it right at the beginning, and his buddy starts to see it too. Dennis starts to see it, and Dennis is beginning to realize like he just won't stop telling about this car. Like I thought the whole development of his character was great through the dialogue with his mom and dad and with Dennis. I thought that was really well done.
When he chokes his father,
agree.
the way his father reacts, like,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah, it's a little silly
love
for
it.
So
sure,
dramatic.
but the action of it is what is supposed to be intensified.
Yeah.
Right?
I would have broken Arnie in half.
A whooping would have happened.
You would think.
How about that
Keep your
groin
mitts
grab?
off me,
How about
mother-
that groin grab in the fight?
What
do
a
you like
wacky
that?
way.
How do you like
Yeah.
that, thick face? And then boom.
Yeah, I wrote that line down. Anything dick face, fuck face,
Yeah.
I love it. It's just so blunt.
Dude, who
How do you
fights
like
like
dick
that?
face?
And how about the guy from Ghostbusters who
Yeah.
gets shocked even though he predicts all those
Dude
correct
from
things?
Ghostbusters.
Kelly
Dude
Preston.
from Friday the 13th Part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Stuart
And then-
Charno.
A dude
Kelly
that looks like he's John Travolta.
Dude,
Yeah,
that guy,
looks like
that guy
John
looks like
Travolta.
he's 45 years old and he's in
Yeah.
high school. And
He's hanging
also
out with a bunch of 18-year-olds.
And guess what?
Kelly Preston.
He's only 2 years older than everybody. He's only 2 years older than the other two.
Yeah.
actors.
Life's been
Yeah.
hard for him.
And
Right?
Kelly Preston, John Travolta's wife, is the hot
Yeah.
blonde who they introduce and never do anything with her.
Yeah, I never got that. I thought there was going to be more developed with that character, but there really
Yeah.
wasn't. Just for jealousy of Dennis not being interested in her.
I would have gone for her over Lee.
Yeah.
Not me.
Well, who would put out? That's the question, right? In that time, that's who you're going to go for.
KP. All the
It
way.
looks like KP would be the one, but I don't
Right.
know. I think that Lee was just a knockout. My God, she has the body of a slut. Who says that?
She's smart and has the body of a
smart.
slut.
I love
So
that
in the 80s, what
I
you
know.
could say.
Queer maybe, but not ugly.
There's great dialogue in this movie. And speaking of dialogue, the only reason this movie was rated R, they added all the F-bombs and things like that. They even added extra F-bombs just to make sure of it. When what's his name is yelling, I'll make you wish you were never fucking born. And when he's yelling at the teacher, and just for no reason at the end of the sentence he goes, fuck. It's great.
Yeah.
They just made it
Because there's no
ridiculous.
gore.
No,
In the
Yeah,
end,
no.
really.
they wanted the R rating. Usually it's the other way around. They're trying to cut things out so they can get an R. This movie had to add stuff to achieve an R rating because they
That's
wanted.
interesting. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
I don't know.
tell you-
I somehow I'm thinking about this when you saying Arnie's arc being developed more. I'm thinking about how it ultimately plays out and ends, and I don't know. I'm kind of okay with it. I think it's really it's certainly more tragic than the novel has, because in the novel he does get redemption.
No,
He
the
actually-
end is fine. It's the
Yeah.
getting there.
No, I
It's-
think
it's
it's
the
still
actual
okay. I think
growth.
it's still okay because it's
They
sort of
jump
like him
to
alienating
crisis,
and
jump.
losing
Mm.
every relationship he has, and you get it with the jump in times. I think you get it enough that he's alienated himself, that he chooses the car over Lee, that he chooses the car over Dennis, that he chooses it over his parents, and that ultimately, it's a tragic.
Obviously,
tragic
they agreed
choice
with
in the
you
end.
because that's how they presented the movie. However, watching it, I feel like there's two missing sequences, maybe. Like I said, however long that would actually play out, probably more like in the 5 to 10 minute range, would have just helped my believability of that growth.
As
of
much
that-
as I enjoy the characters and I enjoy this movie, for me, I haven't seen this one as much as other people have, and I don't know why. This is just one Carpenter film I haven't seen a ton of times. So this might have been only my second or third time seeing it, and it's been a long
Wow.
time. Yeah, And
I
just
know
for
this
me-
movie so well, B.
Not-
I may have seen this movie about 30, 40 times in my life.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And I honestly want to say it's probably my second time seeing it. Literally, that's how little
Wow.
I've seen it. But for me, the star of this movie and what steals this movie is Christine herself,
Yes.
hands down.
Yeah.
I'm not
Oh,
saying
and the effects.
the effects
of her
too, but
going back together for the time.
oh
were
my god,
amazing.
that's fantastic. But she really takes on a personality, which is hard to say for a car.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
and the
not just a
actors
cheesy
interacting,
killer car
right?
flick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Cool.
really like this. I like this movie a lot. I think it's a Carpenter flick that not everyone really talks about as much as, like, say, obviously The Thing, Halloween, and The Fog. I feel like those are the main three I always hear. And this is one I've always liked. I've seen it not a ton of times, but more than Brandon. I've seen it a few times. I don't know how many. I used to watch it on TV a lot growing up, but I really dig it. I like the progression. I agree. I think that Arnie's character could have been played out a little bit better with that, especially because the movie is almost 2 hours long. You would think it feels rushed in a way with that stuff, but yeah, I just really dig this. I love Christine whenever the lights come on and it does that like pew noise. That's like the Halloween 3.
Yeah,
That's what
excellent.
I get.
Yeah.
That
Yep.
reminds me so much of Halloween, but yeah, I just really like it. They do a good job of not making it a cheesy killer car flick. It's really just about the one, Arnie's progression, and two, like, the car is actually very menacing and comes off as evil. So yeah, this is
That
One
show
more.
me scene.
Oh.
Show me, yeah.
Show me.
Great.
yeah.
It's
That
sexual
is
as
it.
fuck,
That-
man.
Yeah, very sensual
sexual.
music when she
Absolutely.
regenerates.
Because he's like, show me. It's almost like asking, someone to disrobe, but
Yeah.
in fact, it's the opposite here.
Imagine
You know
if he
what
said
I
that
mean?
instead.
Do it up.
Christine, disrobe.
Take it off.
She was wearing David's robe from the Slayer that he went out to take
Nice.
pictures of.
It was
Yeah,
a
I can always
carry-over.
make a theme among the three movies.
You know what?
I,
Getting back to what Carly said about this being not mentioned all the time with Carpenter, I think the reputation of this movie is, I think people look at it more as a Stephen King vehicle, no pun intended,
Mhm.
than a Carpenter.
That
It's,
pun
it's almost
totally
like how
intended.
Cronenberg did, what do you call it? The Dead Zone. But no one ever talks about the Dead Zone being a Cronenberg movie. They say Stephen King, Dead Zone. It's just one
I
of
always
those
say
things.
it's my favorite Cronenberg film.
But that's fine, though. That's what makes
I
it
actually like this better than The Fog, but Carly's right.
Me
The
too, I
Fog
agree.
is usually held in higher
Yeah.
regard, but
I don't like the
this
fog
is
that much at all, honestly. but-
this one has more of its thumbprint, I think.
Mhm.
of Carpenter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah, for sure. Just comparatively to Halloween and The Thing, it's just the same sort of cinematography, how he fills the frame. The car is menacing but awesome, and like you said, has a personality. I love how how I always make mention of, for Jason Voorhees or for Michael Myers for that matter, they'll net out the eyes. They'll put black stocking there so you can't see the eyes to make it creepier. They black out the windows here, like they do. They like net the windows here, so it's just so that they can have it look like it's driving by itself, of course.
Yeah.
But
That's awesome.
I thought that was always kind of cool as well.
And that's another thing with Arnie's progression. I think you could pretty well take away that throughout the film, as Christine is killing, that Arnie is not with her
No,
until the
he's
very
not.
end.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So another thing, it's subtle. I'm really not trying to like argue your point. Of course, more character development is always good, especially if you're making a 2-hour movie. Might as well throw in a few extra scenes. But I'm just saying, I like that, the subtlety of the character development. The time jumps are a little weird because it's just random dates. It goes like October 9th, October 27th, and it goes like November 28th. It just jumps all over the place. But
Has anybody read the book? Is this a book or a short story? I'm assuming a full book.
It's a
the
book.
novel.
I
yeah.
have
Well,
owned the book for like years, but I still have not read it because it is so long and I'm bad at reading nowadays. But I do own it. I just never read it.
I just want
So
to
I
see.
can't help
The
there.
book,
Yeah.
the book focuses more on Roland's possession of Arnie rather than it being Christine. It being more Roland that possessed the car.
Oh.
Him choosing the car over his family, and that's ultimately why his family dies. The daughter and the wife, choking and and asphyxiating in the car and stuff like that. And it gives an opportunity for Arnie's character to do something in the end of the novel to sort of redeem his character, which is nice. I don't know which one I prefer. But I think Christian would probably prefer if they played the novelization out in the film, because then you get obviously a much longer arc with Arnie. But
I don't like the Roland aspect. I like where they went with the script.
That's the thing. It's straight up possession, supernatural. Whereas here, it's it still is supernatural, but it's we don't really understand the extent of why Christine is comes off the assembly line evil.
When I was reading about it talked about how it was developed with the obsession of motor cars. So in America, the development and obsession of motor cars. And I really think it talks about obsession well, especially with Roland's character, his wife dying, his kid dying, the car leaves because his brother makes him get rid of it. The car comes back again 3 weeks later. Everything. Because when you are obsessed with something, you can't live without it. You will sacrifice everything for that. And I thought that was a good underlining theme that existed throughout that movie and was well portrayed.
Forgot about that. 3 weeks later, came back. That got me when that was.
Those secondary characters are great. We haven't really talked about them.
Same guy from Home Alone, actually, the gentleman that was in it.
Yeah, him too.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It's got a great line.
Ezra from Deranged. Ezra Cobb.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. It is him.
Yeah. Their dialogue from both of those characters is fantastic.
It's great. Nobody beats Darnell. Darnell is motherfucking.
Yeah. But don't think about it too long.
I'll throw you on your fucking ass.
Yeah.
Oh,
great.
Someone offers you a job, you're like, yeah, I'll take it.
He dated Mrs. Doubtfire.
I'll think about it.
Yeah. I might even throw in a few parts. And he goes to the whole thing and says, don't think about it too long. I'll throw out in your fucking ass. Oh,
love
dude.
it.
I love him. Everything out of his mouth is gold. Every fucking thing that comes out of Darnell's mouth is top of the line. I love him.
You buy into him. It's his expressions when he's having that dialogue and he's like, oh yeah, well fuck you, kid. Like, it's great. Yeah. It's awesome.
And his death is horrifying. I don't his death really bothered me.
Yeah. Tony Maroney? Yeah.
I wish there was a little bit more to it almost. Like it works, but I just wish there was a little bit more. And I think it's weird that Carpenter, after The Thing, went so PG almost with the way that he presented the deaths in this, comparatively, because The Thing is so visceral, like in the sense of like the defibrillator sequence and everything else.
Yeah. But The Thing was a bomb, though, right? The Thing was a flop.
And so was this, wasn't it, at the time?
No, I think it did okay. I think it doubled its budget, so.
Then I don't know. I don't actually know the numbers. I'm going by memory.
I think it was a $9 million budget and it made like $21 million.
So then it wasn't horrible. No.
Yeah.
At the time, that would have been fine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it did just fine. Stephen King, everything he was putting out at that time was still pretty hot. It's kind of like it is now, you know.
Oh yeah.
It's hot. It's like
everybody's trying to get a piece of anything, Stephen King.
Yeah, and that's how it was then. This was like his fourth or fifth adaptation, I think. And he was still hot, and he had all these great directors doing his things, you know.
Now, girls, tell me if I can't remember the line, so help me out with this. He says, "There's nothing that smells as good as that. Like nothing that smells as good as new car, except for the smell of what? What was it again?
Oh, pussy.
Pussy.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Best line. That movie. I always remember that line in this movie.
Except maybe for pussy.
Yeah.
How about he says it again?
Except maybe pussy.
Just like except maybe pussy.
But he does that little eye look too, like did I offend you? Except maybe pussy.
Perfect. Yep.
It's great.
It is great. Oh, and then Arnie says it again later when he's driving. There is nothing like being behind the wheel of your automobile, except maybe for pussy. That whole scene is also fucking great. Death to the shitters of the world of 1979. He's on a whole other level. He goes,
drinking
now watch
and driving,
this.
no one cares.
Oh,
that was
New Year's Eve. He's on a whole other
car.
And I like that they make the friend likable. His friend is a little bit more popular because he's a jock, but he's not an asshole.
No, he's not.
And that's they've got the bullies, but they actually keep that friendship, and that's something that wasn't actually.
Dennis is too good to Arnie. Once Arnie's mother starts yelling at Dennis at the beginning, I've been like, "F you, bitch! Your son's a nerd. I'm out of here."
No one's mom was gonna yell at me besides my mom.
He wants to get him laid that year. He's thinking about him.
Yeah, he is.
He was a
does
good friend. He was a good
Yeah.
friend.
He cared, and he was invested. Now, who is Arnie's mom? Who is that actress?
Oh, I checked her out. She was in a bunch of things. There was something I thought I know her from something. Now, of course, I didn't write it down.
Christine
talking, I'll look it up.
Belford. She was in a television show.
She looks so
Yeah, I think-
familiar. Was she in The Parents? She wasn't in The Parents, right? She didn't play.
No, it wasn't the
that.
parents, but you're
Okay.
right. There's some other movie that. She was a voice on The Wild Thornberrys.
I knew she was a voice actress. I was gonna say I think
Okay.
she did a lot of voice acting.
Yeah, I was actually joking, but that's true. But that's not what I was like. Thinking.
I'm like, that's not where I know her from, but okay.
I think that she did a lot of voices though. I could be mistaken. I'm going by memory.
It doesn't
But-
look like she did much.
Lots of one episodes of a TV show.
Yeah, lots of television.
Okay.
What was
The
Yeah.
it?
Ladies Club.
Ladies Club.
The Ladies
Okay.
Club was actually if I remember correctly, a rape revenge film,
Mm.
similar to like Miss 45 and not quite as like a spit on your grave, but something along the lines of that.
Okay.
But yeah, none of those are what I'm thinking of either, to be honest.
But
Heather.
she just looks so familiar. I don't know. Maybe she
Yes.
just looks like another actress. But I'm
She
looking
looks
at
like
her.
a mother in a long running like a sitcom or some other show
Yeah.
from back in the day. I think she
Yes.
looks like somebody,
Yeah.
and she's like a doppelganger in a way.
She's a
but we just
doppelganger.
can't-
That's what it is.
She's
I
a
think that's
tethered.
what it is.
She's
She's a
tethered to someone
tethered.
else.
Here we go. Next, us too.
Us too, Arnie's mom.
That's noise pollution. What you're doing.
Oh my God, I would have been like, fuck you and fuck Arnie. I'm
But she
out of
doesn't
here.
stop not liking her. So when you see Arnie kind of push back, you're proud of him. You're like, yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
right. You buy that car. That's right.
Yeah.
You do that. Right?
But
It's
then he
only
was an
later on-
asshole.
But then he becomes an asshole. But at first you're like, yeah, you tell her.
Well, she had it coming.
Well,
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She wasn't
Let
that
the
nice
kid-
of a person.
No, let him park the car in the driveway. And when he said that's right, he goes, it's your fault. He goes, if you'd let me park the car in your precious driveway, this wouldn't happen. Granted, he took it a little too far, especially with his father. But I mean, he's like, well, fuck you. I don't want another car. I mean, you shouldn't talk that way to your mother. But if they weren't so uptight about it, I mean,
Yeah.
the kid is
Mhm.
actually working for something. He's showing initiative. He's good with his hands. This guy that he just started working for at this garage is giving him these jobs. He's making money. Granted, every bit of money that he makes is going right into Christine, but he's still a high school kid.
Yep.
You get the impression that he gets good grades. He has this
Yep.
nice popular pretty girlfriend and this nice car. You think he's going in the right direction? Why are you busting his balls? I mean, I'd be
Some
I'd be
parents
proud.
really are like that in real life.
When I
too.
heard him
You never
talking
know.
about being
Sure.
in the chess club and stuff, it reminded me of being at work. I can't tell you how many kids come in and they have done things their whole life and gone to school because that's what their parents want. I'm like, holy shit, am I watching like work time now? Because that whole rant he does it. I joined the chess club. I did this to make you happy, and now I'm doing this for me. When he buys
Instead of marching band,
Right?
even the parents
Yeah.
didn't want him joining marching. It's not even like his other options were so extreme.
no,
That's how oppressed he was by his parents. They really
Yeah.
were kind of assholes. But
Yeah.
it was mainly the mother. But when he
Yeah.
chokes that father, I still can't get that. I don't know. It's just, and when he slaps him on the cheek, it's just like, are you kidding me, Dad? Like,
I love
break him in half right now.
I love
Well-
that scene though, because it shows like power. It's more than just a physical thing. It's like a mental thing too. The fact that it happened, it just shows that there's something supernatural.
Physically,
in
it looks
Yeah.
very slapsticky, like, like very 360.
Wow, I never thought of it that way. I've always loved it, but I guess
I feel like I need to
The
rewatch.
way he does
Yeah.
it, yeah.
The way I was like,
I
It's
swear I
serious,
just saw a
though.
post for it that the Christine car is for sale. I was trying to look for it while we were talking here.
you thinking of buying
But-
it?
Well, no, because the one that was like it, a Plymouth Fury 1958, sold in Scottsdale 2015 auction for $198,000.
And that's American. Imagine in Canadian, Kristen.
that's like 40 million Canadian.
Not far off.
How could you even know if it's the real card? Didn't they use like 14 or 15
I'm
cards?
just saying it looks like, or it,
Okay.
Oh,
they're calling it
God.
Christine. That's
You know,
not
the
one
one
that was
guy-
for sale.
the one guy married the car. He bought one of them and he married it like legally somehow.
Was-
And he was going to
that-
conventions with.
Was it Arnie?
And that's
Look,
why people.
no,
That's
January
why people
10th,
question horror
2020.
fans. That's why
It
people
is.
question people who like horror.
I
It
know,
was
because the
just
guy sticks
last
his
month.
dick in a tailpipe. I know.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. Right.
Well, he never
ridiculous.
has to worry about consent, I guess.
Except
Nope.
maybe for
Just
pussy.
raping his car left and right.
It was last month, January 2020, and
happened?
it's expected to hit upwards of 500,000 before closing.
That's,
I knew it
insane.
was sometime recent. Yeah.
That's insane. Now let me get to that opening scene. Why? There's only one red car.
Scene.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
only
there's
one
only
red
one
car
red.
on the lot, right? Nobody messes with any other car. For no reason, the guy lifts up the hood to Christine. Why would he do that? Why is there one red car?
is sexy.
Because
just
she
a
called
very
to him. That's
Yeah.
why.
And then why did that guy, if this is your job, you're really gonna go and sit in a car that's on an assembly line with a cigar in your mouth?
I like how he died
was
with
the
the cigar still in
50s.
his mouth.
Yeah.
He falls out of the
insane.
car. Still hanging out of his mouth.
It's brand new. So you're gonna sell this thing when someone smoked a cigar in it? Good luck on that.
I think
man.
they smoked everywhere in the 50s. There was no limit. So
Well,
that doesn't
sure.
really surprise
In
me.
the 80s.
I love old movies for that.
You were
That
talking
is a
about
good
the
point.
teacher's lounge earlier when
Yeah.
we were pre-gaming. I remember walking into the teacher's lounge when I was in elementary school. It was a cloud of smoke. They just sit in there smoking. It was a totally different time, and that was in the 80s.
True.
Before you were born, Carly.
Right, yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, the days. And how come Arnie, who has never been laid, is so uptight about hooking up with a sophomore when he's a senior? He acted like it was a kindergartner. She's a sophomore. I'm like, what the fuck? And I don't know how you guys were in high school, but to me it was almost a rite of passage for senior guys to mess around with sophomore and freshman girls.
Yeah,
Am
I always
wrong
like
here?
to
Yeah.
put senior guys on my list that I just went through. That's true. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't think 2 years is a big deal in high school. No, I don't think
I
a
don't think so
2-year
either.
age gap is a big deal.
I think it's
I was
just a
always the
typical
older
male
one,
response.
dating the
Yeah,
boys.
I think he was just trying to be over the top nerdy.
I don't know. What would you say, Carly?
I was always like the older one, like going for like the younger girls and or the younger boys.
Hey now.
And
Oh.
yes, we know
no,
that, Carly.
no,
It's
no,
in
no,
fashion.
not
It's
good
okay.
Yes, fashion.
But, but yeah, it was a big deal for the boys to like date like the older girls back in my high school. So I
That's
guess
a big deal too.
Mhm.
Oh,
Like I
anytime.
think it's
Yeah.
like either way it's like cool because it's like, oh, it's a senior. Whoa, it's crazy.
That
Arnie just has
doesn't
this
happen,
personality that he's entitled to more, even when he's nerdy.
Mhm.
which is crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is stereotypical. I mean, come on, guys do it all the time.
They do?
They
Yeah.
really do.
Just kidding.
Come on.
As do what?
Especially when it comes to women, when it comes to getting laid. You know, they always, think they're entitled to better looking women than, their class.
They think
It's
they're
not
a
better
9 and
looking.
10s and they're really a 3 and they're just
Yeah.
they hit high.
They put
I
too
don't
much stock in their dick size.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it does hurt. Let me take that back.
Oh, wow.
What kind of stock are you putting in it? Chicken stock?
Smells like Lipton's. Campbell's would have probably been a better joke for the Americans.
I got Lipton, so.
How about when the guy's putting the Heimlich on that girl? Doesn't it look like they're having an orgasm? It's the
Oh,
most
yeah.
sexual. At the end, they're like, oh.
You know what? I almost felt like they did that intentionally because we're seeing it
think
from
so.
Arnie's perspective. That's,
It was like, get
but
your
yeah,
hands
it
off
does.
her.
It looks ridiculous. Like,
Take your goddamn hands off of her. He gets so mad.
I love the way she lights up though, Christine, like that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That choke scene was great.
Oh, it is great. Man,
I'm talking
and
about when the
song
father
they
gets
play?
choked. No, that is great. The car scene. That scared me. I remember I think they showed that as in a trailer or as like a TV sneak peek. So when I was young, that would pop up on the TV, and I remember that scared me. Just seeing the light illuminate from inside,
Yeah.
like the
He's
dashboard of
very
the car.
bright. Very bright.
Yeah, like Brandon's computer used to be. Same shit. Oh, he's got
Next
good
week I'll be choking again.
Imagine if Brandon did that to his father if he walked in the room.
Yeah. Fuck you, Dad.
It would be comical just because it was Brandon. There's no question about it. It would definitely be comedy. Maybe we'll do that in the movie. Can you tell? Oh shit.
Write it in.
Oh
Put
man.
it down, Christian.
I will say there's a very sad scene. And it really sucks because they're walking into the. It was right the night after the incident at the drive-in, and he goes back in and he stops in to Darnell's and he's with Lee Arnie, and he says I gotta go in and it's when he sees the car's trashed. I gotta get my wallet, and they're so happy. He's walking in, everything's cool. He's like, we should apply to the same colleges next year. They look so genuinely happy. Everything's going great, and then as soon as he sees the car is destroyed, and his reaction, and then he comes over and says, "Don't touch me, shitter." Everything changes, man, and it's genuinely sad to me that because that's possession. That's like he's right there trying to turn the corner in his life and go from 0 to hero, and then just because that happens, the downward spiral just begins. I
was thinking, now that's possession.
No, here's a thought. Now that you mentioned that, Dave, so we know that Christine can fix herself. So do we think that she waited for Arnie to see that? So he would then take his attention away from Lee and put it back on her?
Oh, yeah. 100.
Yeah?
100.
Yep. Because Lee survived and she wasn't supposed to. Yeah.
Typical woman in horror. Okay.
Did you say
you're such a catch.
Yeah.
Woman in what? Horror?
Did you say woman in horror or did you say woman and horror?
Woman in horror.
Okay, thank you. Still not great, but better than what I initially heard.
Oh no, women in horror.
Yeah.
But maybe that's why, because she was supposed to kill him. Pardon me, she was supposed to kill her. It was unsuccessful because of the orgasming Heimlich. And, here we are. She's like, oh yeah, well, fuck you. She was probably glad that that Buddy and them came in and did what they did.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm going to use this to my advantage,
Yeah.
Can I just add, were bullies really like this back in the 80s and stuff? Did bullies really pull knives on you and destroy your stuff because it's just so over dramatic to me, and that never really happened in my life. People would make fun of people.
Slashed your yogurt?
Yeah, yes, pretty much all that.
I think it's definitely stereotyped, but I think it was honestly pretty brutal back in the day. Really? I think it's more brutal today. It's more brutal today in the long run because with social media, because you can't get away with it. Where back then you could leave school, you go home, you're in the safety of a safe space. Whereas now you can't get away from it.
Yeah, I disagree.
Actually.
No, it's much worse today. If somebody,
it's not. You bring yourself to that by going on social media. Back in the day, you had to fucking be fearful when you're getting out of school and then getting to then getting to your house and then it's finally over because you're afraid of physical harm. You're afraid of a bully fucking
physical harm you can deal with. Physical harm you can recover with. Emotional harm, that's forever.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
But there's still emotional harm.
I get you, Dave.
Tender thoughts on exploding heads.
Yeah, I almost teared up. I don't.
Final thought.
Yeah, but there's emotional
Brought
harm.
To you by Tanqueray.
There's emotional harm in the fear of what leads up to it. They're still picking on you. They're still calling you names. They're still saying, I'm going to kick your ass if I see you after school. So you still have to run that through your head. Well, how come they're picking on me? You're still fucked up. You're still called the same names that you're called online, except it's done in person. And then on top of it, you have to be worried about getting your ass kicked, and not only getting your ass kicked in front of your classmates. I'm sorry. It was worse back then. That's how I see it. But
yeah, because in my time, it's that people would fight, but it was usually two friends who had a beef or something. They would just fight each other in the lunchroom. It was never a dorky kid getting pummeled by the lockers or anything like that. So, I mean,
I had it. I was bullied at one point, and I did bullying, so I've seen it from both ends. Yeah, but I was bullied in grammar school. Yeah, because I was really small and real skinny and a very just really spastic, ADHD, but on another level, just could not sit still and fucking.
So I was all. Yes.
What is grammar school? What is grammar school? Is that preschool?
I think it's
it's elementary.
It's elementary.
Elementary, my Mr. Watson.
You little chunk.
But that's what it was. And I was a spaz, man. I was always trying to talk, and I don't know. It's hard to explain. And I deserved it because I was always butting in and didn't know how to talk to girls and all the other.
The psychological bullying aspect right there. I deserved it. No, you didn't.
For acting the way I did, yes, I did.
No, you absolutely did
No,
not. People are just cruel, and you just
Yeah.
accept the fact that you think you deserved it. See,
No, because everyone else around, no. Everybody around was normal and cool, and I was fucking the asshole trying to get attention on myself all the time. No, I deserved it for fucking trying to be the center of attention when I wasn't even funny. No, I'm sorry. That's the way I look. But I changed. I got older.
That's how
and
I am
then
now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's your excuse now? Because you're not.
I'm not a dork now. I know when to speak and when not to speak, and
why are you
what
still
I can
talking?
joke about.
Oh man, there's some bullying going on here.
I'm kidding. It's a joke. Stop. Comedy gold.
Comedy gold.
I'm
Just
with
like
Watson.
Darnell.
Yeah, Watson's gonna be mad at me. I love Watson though. I love Watson. I don't like when he's mad at me.
Well, keep your fucking mouth shut, and he won't be mad at you.
All I called him was a tiny chunk. Because Heather said she liked to listen to a small chunk. Because she said she liked to listen to Watsy in small chunks.
Now, you don't know half as much as you think you do, shitter.
Are we gonna rate this bad boy?
What's with the word shitter anyway?
Trying to move it along, Christian. Trying to move it along.
Yeah, look, Christian's ready to go to bed.
Look, he's been in the basement
have a
for a
glass
while.
of
He's
Merlot.
got enough.
Have a glass of
Oxygen's getting
Merlot.
low.
Or low.
How about the kills? We didn't really talk about the kills, but Christine on fire. That's just iconic.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Love
And
it.
the music playing in the back, the
Yeah.
Plymouth Fury. Oh man, so good. So good.
How is that not a poster? I want a poster of fucking
Yes.
Christine on fire.
And I want to
Shake-
post. And I want a poster of Buddy's mutton chops. I love this.
We
You
know
should
you
grow
do.
some.
I
I'm
do.
hitting them.
Yeah. Well, no. They need to get
Oh.
thicker. They need to get thicker.
Yeah,
I
I
just
just gotta get it out to here a little bit more.
This is
Please
only
just
3 days
don't.
growth. Nice. Yeah, I guess we can rate it because I could talk about it forever because I love it. For me,
There is a poster of
anyway.
Christine on fire. I thought it was a soundtrack, but there is a poster. Well, it's fire engulfing behind her.
I think
Have
they
you not
released
seen
like
that
2 or 3 soundtracks for this.
what?
I'm serious too. I'll show you
I'm
the
serious.
poster.
It's like 2 or 3 soundtracks because they released all the score, they released all the songs, and then there were, I think, additional songs that they eventually added to the soundtracks that were in the movie
Oh, okay.
they didn't have on.
I was just thinking score when you said they had 3 soundtracks. I'm like,
No,
what?
no.
Oh,
I,
no.
I just meant between the score and all the songs that are featured in the film. But
You know what else is cool? How they had updates of old songs. Like in the beginning, you hear that the guy was
Yes.
here, not fade away when he got killed. Bop, 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 and then it flashes up to the future, and Dennis is driving, and it's a modern version of Not Fade Away.
Yeah.
Granted, it should have been the Grateful Dead's version of Not Fade Away, which is the best.
oh,
Oh,
fancy.
yeah.
That.
That's
Did he,
cool.
oh, it disappeared.
Yeah,
It's cool
It's there.
though.
It'll pop
that
up.
is
Yeah, it's
very
in the-
cool.
It's in the messenger area. Yeah, I remember that they had them, and there's this one too. Visuals, always
Who
good.
posted Robert Pattinson?
That was a long time ago.
I didn't even know. I wasn't looking back.
That
then.
one's really nice.
Oh, that's
I like
one
that
I
one.
always, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
better.
that's pretty
That's
sweet.
better.
I tried to take a picture of it, and I was gonna post it on on our page, and that's like the best I could get. It's okay, but I mean, it's hard to capture on a TV. But
Yeah.
I want one with Buddy Repperton running too. That'd be great.
That
Yeah.
used to be.
Yeah.
That was the shot. That was the VHS. I swear, you could Google
Maybe
it. I
right.
swear it was.
I have
You'd
this
see him
movie on
running. It was the
VHS.
like. So is it the cover? Maybe it's
No,
just the
it's
grill.
just unless there's different covers, but it's just boring old Christine with like a blue background.
I swear I
thingy.
remember seeing him running, unless it was the back cover, like the art that would be like the picture at the back of the box.
Oh, it might
Well,
be.
This is the deal about that scene, though. There's not an actual good. They're never in the frame together except when he's getting run over. That's the problem. Maybe like for a second when you first cut to that, and then he gets trampled
It
and
happened
rolls.
so fast. I even asked my buddy one. I'm like, what just happened to him? He got like it happened very quickly. Like I don't know. It was a very weird like cut or transition. Like he's running, and all of a sudden there's just a body in the road on fire. Like I knew what happened, but I was like, what was that?
There must be a reason why they couldn't get that shot with him in front of it and running. Because why? If you're making that movie, Don't you think that'd be great to see, like, him facing the camera running and the car on
Mhm.
fire behind him chasing him down?
Dude, that'd be awesome.
Oh, I was talking with the chubby guy. That's the one I was thinking. of.
Moochie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Who,
yeah.
who do you think is the one who defecated on the dashboard?
Yeah.
Moochie.
Moochie, definitely a Moochie move because he's the one who grabbed Dennis's crotch. Definitely.
Yep.
A Moochie move.
A Moochie move. That's a new
Oh,
thing now. What a
It
Moochie
Moochie.
could have been
movement.
Ted.
I like
Welcome
whenever-
to God's country.
I like
Oh,
whenever the dude's like, he's
Beethoven.
like,
Beethoven's last movement. There you go.
Oh my God.
B finally does a Friday joke and gets it. Very good, sir.
There you go. You're right.
Oh, he told it.
Carly, I'm sorry. Bringing
Sorry,
the cut
Carly,
you
go
off
ahead.
the-
Sorry, go ahead.
But it was a
I
good
was gonna
joke.
say, I just like whenever like the car's sitting there and he doesn't know if Arnie's in it or not, and he's like, "You're not mad, aren't you?" And it's like you just destroyed his car, and he's like, "You're not mad, are you?" Like,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Cunningham, is that you?
nah,
You're
it's
not-
fine. It's a joke.
That's hilarious you brought that
Yeah,
up,
go
Carly, because I was
ahead.
thinking the same thing. You're not mad, are you? Yeah.
Just like
No, he's like-
nervous.
It's only a car.
Nobody ever tries to run into. Buddy never tried to run off the road into the woods. I felt
I
like there
know.
were woods right there. I'm like, just go off the road into the woods.
Just deviate a little bit from the road and you'll
Yeah,
be
they're just running
okay.
straight down the road.
Another small
perfect.
quibble. Small quibble. The introduction of the detective is great, but then again, there's a couple of scenes with them, but they really don't go anywhere. He's introduced so late in the movie that they
Yeah.
don't really develop that as well as they should.
And
But great. I like that you can still get this color paint.
yeah.
You want a receipt? You got the receipt. Like I love that
Mhm,
that
the questioning.
interaction.
Yeah, Harry
It's
Dean, he's a great character. He's just
Harry
introduced too late and
Yeah.
not used enough because
Yeah.
he's clearly on to Arnie from the get-go. But again, Arnie has all
Get-go.
these alibis from the get-go.
Yes.
But
Mhm.
Arnie has all these alibis, which are legit because he's clearly not with Christine until the end. And then that's very tragic the way it plays out at the end when he's thrown from
Oh.
the car and his last moment of contact with anything on this planet before he dies is to reach out and touch the car. Like he's so
Yeah.
Sam.
He does
Because
say
And the
that's-
something,
headlights
though.
go out.
I had to
Yeah,
rewind
that-
this.
Yes, they do.
Did you hear him say what he said though too?
what did he say?
Shoots through the road. No, he shoots through the.
I
The,
feel like it's gonna be a
windshield.
joke.
No. He shoots through the windshield and he grabs the car. He says,
He yells.
That's what?
Rosebud.
Oh, see, I knew it. I knew it. It was gonna be something.
Doesn't he
No,
scream
no,
though?
Jeb.
No, but it's the song is playing. I'll forever love you, and it's really like,
Yeah.
man, Christine is the best car actor I've ever seen. It's,
Way better
really,
than the truck's a maximum overdrive. Fuck the goblin truck.
fuck the
She's better than
killdozer.
Herbie the Love Bug.
Fuck
you know?
killdozer.
Kill
The
those.
DeLorean. Although the DeLorean gives it a run for its money.
DeLorean's good.
DeLorean's not
I can't believe we're
alive.
having this conversation.
I
Not
know.
alive.
I can't believe I'm responding to you like
yeah, the DeLorean's
genuine
good.
way. Yeah,
DeLorean's
DeLorean's good. Yeah.
Speed
Now-
Bug.
See, now I'm starting to get tipsy because now I'm responding to these ridiculous comments.
Forgot about the car from the car.
Oh yeah, the car. Hello.
The car.
Me too. Right.
I don't know, Christine this
The hearse.
really did a great
Yeah.
job just bringing her to life and making her the star of this film.
Yes.
And the regeneration scenes are just phenomenal. On the
Oh.
level of I'm drawing a blank now.
Star
The
Wars.
the Oliver Reed film where the house regenerates itself. What am I?
Burn
Bird
offering.
offerings?
Bird Offerings. Yeah, it's just on that level, like so cool looking.
Yeah.
Right
Oh,
on.
this is much better, in my opinion. The,
Oh, really? You don't like when the house regenerates itself in Burn Offerings? I always feel
okay.
like the scene is awesome when it's like raining
Love
shudders.
burn offerings.
Yeah,
It's rain and shutters.
that's Shudder's official song. Like, I gotta stop drinking.
No, you gotta
no,
keep
please
drinking.
don't.
No, it's I feel like by M.F.A. like I'm gonna be passed out. I'm like,
Uh-oh.
yeah,
I
better get
sided with the guy. I'm
yeah, yeah. Luke
He was a changed man.
did nothing wrong. All girls like violent assault.
Oh my God.
I'm kidding.
Oh shit. Final thoughts and ratings. I think we may have already given our final thoughts, but please feel free to go ahead, guys and gals.
Oh, I'll go it. I think it's a 10 out of 10. Even with our criticisms, I love the movie. I think it's a classic. I enjoy it. Solid 10 out of 10.
Yeah, great film. Almost perfect for me. I give it a 9 out of 10. It's one I don't go back to a ton, but every time I do, I really enjoy it.
Once again, I'll go next, and I want to give it a 10 out of 10. I want to. It's like my third favorite Carpenter film, but I will give it a 9.5 out of 10 just because I would like to see a little bit more in that arc, and just because that detective character, as much as I like him, he's just too little, too late.
All right, I'll go next before Dave goes. I'll let Dave go last. For me, I'm coming in a little lower. I'm still coming in high though. 8.5 out of 10. I think the fact that I read how the novel plays out kind of has me a little split between which one I prefer, because I like aspects of the way the novel plays out, particularly with Arnie's character arc. But then again, I like the fact that they focus less on the possession in the film. But 8.5 out of 10. Like I said, I haven't seen it as many times as I probably should have for a horror fan of my age. But it's still a great film, and a Carpenter classic.
Not to steal Dave's thunder, although I think I already
Hall
know
of Fame already.
It's already a Hall of Famer based on Heather Carley's.
It'll definitely have a higher score though after Dave.
And I think this will just solidify its place. Dave, take it away.
Indeed, sir. Yeah, I've always loved this movie. I've seen it so many times. I almost know it word for word. It's just always a movie that I've loved. The only weakness I could say is the fact that and somebody brought it up. I think it was Brandon about the whole Buddy Repperton kill, how he stayed on the street the whole time. That's the only thing that's always kind of bothered me just a little bit. And that's really it. It's like a tiny nitpick. Everything else, man, the dialogue, the stuff from Darnell's mouth, the stuff from LeBay, just all the dialogue in general, all the characters, the acting's good. It's just, and God, the soundtrack and the directing and the score. I think this movie is woefully underrepresented in the horror community. To me, it's always been my third favorite Carpenter film after Halloween, The Thing, of course, and I think it's fantastic. Yeah, 9.5 out of 10. Welcome to the Hall of Fame.
29 out of 30.
Yeah, baby. Yes.
Awesome, guys.
It deserves it. I'm glad it's there. I think a lot of Carpenter's. I think Carpenter's most underrated film by far is Assault on Precinct 13.
Never seen it. How's that one for you?
I think it's absolutely phenomenal, and I don't think enough people give it credit because it's not really, horror film so much as,
I do like that one too.
But it's,
yeah, but
it's
everybody
so
blows freaking, what do you call it? Escape from New York, like a motherfucker.
Yeah,
So,
you know what?
I've never
Escape
seen
from New York and The
I've seen it
Fog.
once.
Like I'm with you guys on. I'm sort of like they're really good, but I think I enjoy Christine more.
Oh, by far.
I love, I like that emotional connection, and when it becomes, when there's depth to the characters.
Do you think maybe it's because of the concept of a killer car that maybe people don't take it seriously?
I
Is
think
that
it's
why
handled, I think probably, but it's handled so well that it's
Yeah.
like you forget, like you're dealing with just a car that's coming off possessed off the assembly line.
You're right.
But it's forming these connections with people who are, feel, I guess, so unloved in their lives. You don't really get much with Rick Rowland's background, but he becomes obsessed with the car. But, with Arnie's character, it almost makes sense that, he would have this love for something that that can't criticize him or make fun of him or bully him. And, he's clearly
Right.
almost tormented, So.
Yeah. Dude, it's very misrepresented. Like I said, I really think it is. Nobody talks about it as a top-notch Carpenter film. You just don't see it. It's just maybe because of the King thing. Like I said, and another one that comes to mind, George Romero and Creepshow. When people talk about Romero's greatest films, nobody ever mentions Creepshow. It's like they forget. It's another one that has that King stamp on it, and people just think about it as a King film and not a Romero film. And
Yeah,
it's weird. It's weird.
Yeah, it's true because I'm sort of in the middle with King. Like some are hit, some are miss, but
Sure, like anyone.
and with Romero, it's just very easy just to immediately go to the Dead trilogy because obviously there's not a bad
Of course.
one there, especially
Survival, Diary.
No, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm not talking about the first three. Those three are horrible.
Yeah. Who am I talking to? A Schroyer over here? Are you kidding me?
You know what? Speaking of Schroyer, I got to ask Carly. I know you're podcasting with Austin, but where's Andrew been? I feel like he's sort of dropped off of Facebook and the horror community.
Smart
Yeah,
man.
he he did kind of drop off. Like I didn't really. Well, we just went and saw My Bloody Valentine with both of them, JP and I, and he deleted his Facebook completely, or not completely,
Good.
just the app, and he's just on Messenger, kind of like
Okay.
like Dave
But-
likes to do. So yeah, he has completely disappeared. He's
Yeah.
on Instagram every once in a while, I think. But yeah, I ask Austin that sometimes too. I'm like, how's your brother doing? Because he like
because I'm only on Facebook for the horror groups and I'm on no other social media, so I was just wondering
Yeah.
how Andrew was doing. He's good.
Yeah, he's doing good though. Yeah,
All right,
it's
cool.
fine. Just must not like social media that much.
I don't blame him. Besides,
Nothing
talking
wrong
to
there.
you guys in the horror community, I use it for nothing else. I would
Mhm.
use a computer for nothing else except for email and maybe porn.
Yeah.
Grinder.
It's Skype.
So,
It's Skype. Yeah.
I would go into the last film, everybody. Does anybody want to take a break?
I'm fine.
Ladies,
I don't know what
No,
these hands
let's
are.
go. All right.
oh, jazz hands. I'm sorry, I didn't.
Oh, by the way, that was from Dave Gabbard. Pardon me. Thank you for that.
Dave.
Thank you,
Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, very cool.
Okay. Our last.
Only
film.
we can thank Dave.
Okay, sorry. I don't thank you,
I
Dave.
know, like Heather chimed in,
I
and I
take
felt
it back.
like I had
I
to.
felt like I was Canadian, and that's what we had to do.
You're totally. That's a
Chris
shitty
said
joke.
thank you, so I just followed his lead.
The question remains, will you be thanking Stephen Carpenter? This is the first time he's bumped up to this level for choosing a movie called M.F.A. Because
I
I
this
would
is
thank John Carpenter for the last film.
I thought it was
Ah, right.
just hard to find in Canada, but besides that, it was a great movie.
Yeah, I'll thank him now. I'll spoil it now. I'll thank him right now. Okay. M.F.A. Excuse me. Written by Leah McKendrick, directed by Natalia Late. Sorry if I'm butchering it, but that's how I see it. An art student taps into a rich source of creative inspiration after the accidental slaughter of her rapist. An unlikely vigilante emerges, set out to avenge college girls who attackers walked free.
First timer for
For the dog.
the dog. Okay.
I hated this movie.
Not enough dogs.
Exactly what he said.
I don't know
Exactly.
I saw one dog.
Not enough dogs.
We speak dog on the show.
Do you?
know.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That was the funniest part of the show. No.
He just woke up too. He was sleeping nicely beside me, and you guys said that, and bam.
Flipped out.
Nice.
First time watch for me.
Me too.
All right.
The first time for me as well.
Second time
Nice.
for me.
Yeah.
Second or third
Second
time for
time for me as well. Second time for me. So yeah.
Yeah, we were
Oh, my
talking
God.
about it. It was on their list in
Yeah.
2017.
And you
That's
know
what?
what?
We opened up with. We're talking.
I really feel like the lady should take the lead on this one, but I just want to say real quick that I think the subject matter is handled really well in this film, and I think Francesca Eastwood was absolutely terrific. Knocked it out of the park in her performance as Noelle. And now I turn it over to whoever wants to take lead.
You want to
I
go
have
first,
one
Carly? Or sorry, Dave.
Major bone. No, I'm sorry. We can come back to it later.
Major Bone.
One.
You already know you have a major bone, Dave.
No,
Totally
Doesn't have to come
inappropriate
up
for
in
this
one
movie
show.
to be sporting a Major
oh
Bone.
boy. Oh boy. Okay.
Leave it to Dave. Leave it to Dave.
Major bone for Heather's dog. How's that?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
I don't
Give
know.
the
Bone.
dog a bone. Give the
Ground
dog a bone.
control to Major Bone.
See, that was all worth. Oh God. No, one major bone of contention. One and one only. In this, I'm gonna come back to it, but I just want to say right off the bat, my only thing about this movie is this: as much as I love it, it doesn't seem that in this day and age that the things that are happening here would happen. I think it's quite the opposite. I think if a woman could walk in this house right now, knock on my door, try to sell me something, who knows, whatever, a fucking encyclopedia, and I would say no. She could leave, go to the end of her driveway, call the cops, and say, this guy just tried to rape me, and they would come here immediately and cuff me. And it wouldn't be the way it's portrayed in this film. It's I find it maybe once upon a time, it would be a big, big problem for someone to be, they wouldn't be believed and they might be shamed for something even though they were legitimately raped. I think we're so far on the other end of the spectrum now that in this day and age, that would never happen. And I'm going to leave it at that. We can come back to it later or whatever, but that's my only issue.
I will respectfully disagree because I work at a post-secondary institution, and I work at a specific one that Christian would probably know has been in the news this week quite a bit for this happening and for it being swept under the rug for years. That there has been some sexual assaults and rapes and some other inappropriate things that have happened on campus. And I agree that I think women are heard more, though. I will agree with you 100% on that. I do think women are heard more. I do think it is not, I think women are supported when they come out more, but there is still very much with working at a post-secondary institution and just some shit that's happened. It does still happen. It does still happen. It does. And it's sad because it shouldn't.
No, not
it
now.
Shouldn't, but it does.
And this movie's 3 years old. 3 years old, and it's also taking situations that happened before that time frame too. Yeah. So a lot has happened in the last 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, when she goes and says what she does, and the way she's given the third degree and everything, it doesn't seem like
their reputation no matter what cost. I will tell you that there's an ugly side of post-secondary that it doesn't happen all the time. Absolutely. I think there are, the young ladies that are believed. And men. Stuff happens to men, too. Young men have things happen to them as well. But I think that, unfortunately, it does still occur. And people aren't always believed because it makes a school look bad. You don't want to look like a school that has that problem. Every year I go to an event in Toronto where we promo universities. And I actually got asked about sexual assaults on campus. I get asked every year about that when I go to these events. And the reality is they happen on any campus, but certain campuses deal with it better than others. And I think that, yes, I agree with you to a point, Dave, but I also think it was a topic that I could see her sitting down with a therapist or the school psychologist and them spinning it. Because they don't want the school to look bad in the media, because that's how you don't get people going. You don't get corporate sponsorships. It's all about money, right? I don't want the school to look bad because we want parents to feel safe sending their kids here. We want companies to donate money to us. So that's where it kind of gets muddy.
You know what? I wasn't looking at it from the perspective of her being an employee of the school. Now that I look back on it and hearing you say that, yes, that is what was going on. I was picturing her just as
like a random outsider, right? Like an outside psychologist,
Yeah, to some type of degree or some. It seems odd that granted now it's the Me Too generation or whatever that's going on now, but still in the 80s we know the things that were going on in the 70s and everything else, and as a result now everything is extreme on the other side now. Where I'm glad I'm not single, because the way I talk, I could have walked into a bar now and said something flirty to a woman and I could have handcuffs on me in half an hour for something that once upon a time was just innocent flirtation, but maybe I said it to the wrong person now. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that, and I wasn't trying to come off like some type of, I'm not that kind of guy.
Oh,
I'm the father of a daughter.
Absolutely. I agree with you, and I think there's extremities on both ends, but unfortunately I agree with you. Some of this stuff still does happen. And it's happened this week. It came out in our area. It's been a pretty big deal about it. But I agree with you that I think now what's happened, like what we've seen in Black Christmas, is then women take it too far. Now all of a sudden every man's a rapist and every man's going to take advantage of you. And that's not true. Like there's no proof to that. But unfortunately, there are people out there that don't believe and will take a school's reputation or a prof's reputation or, oh, that's a track athlete. You're not going to do anything to ruin this kid's career, right?
Sports.
So that's where it kind of ties in, right? So I think that's where more, not the dude walking into the bar that says something like, hey, nice ass. Like, I don't think that that's sexual harassment. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a difference between those two, how I see it, but I hear where you're coming from.
And also today, there's a lot of stuff in Hollywood. You know, it's very big Hollywood, 80, 90 people coming out accusing Harvey Weinstein, accusing Bill Cosby, where you're talking here on a smaller scale of them protecting the reputation of the institution and stuff like that. And I totally get it. And I think it's really handled well, the way the women talk about, them being put on trial basically after coming forward about this. And it's really heartbreaking, but it's true. And for the sake of the story within the movie, the fact that it plays out that Miss Sanders, our counselor, is not reporting this, is
Mhm.
what makes it make sense, because otherwise you would be like, why didn't Detective Kennedy know about this if Luke was reported before he falls off the balcony? But evidently she's
Right.
covering it up, which is a good, my dad pointed that out actually when we were watching this. I'm like, damn it. Now I'm kind of like, you're right, but they immediately had that scene after, and I forgot about it. But yeah, it's a tough subject. I think I think it could happen very easily on both spectrums, where you could very easily be accused, one way or the other. But
Yep.
to put someone on trial, and I think another thing, the fact that they portray Luke's character as having really no knowledge of what he did. Like, he really has no knowledge that he
That's
raped her.
believable.
That's
Me.
very believable.
That's how they would be.
That's
Yes.
very
Yeah.
believable because I
Yeah.
mean, look, we had Lauren on our show, and she did one podcast after that. I don't know if she ever continued with that, but she did one podcast where she talked about young kids watching pornography and watching a lot of like. Shut the fuck
All
up.
right.
I want to walk that
sucks.
damn dog.
He
No,
wants him like porno.
No, but talking about like how young kids are watching a lot of violent, aggressive pornography, and they just accept that as the norm.
You mean a girl doesn't want 8 dicks in her?
No, it's fine. A girl could want 8 dicks in her, but you have to ask: do you want 8 dicks in you? You need consent, everything, which is how it should be. You
I
can
thought
have
everybody was just like a pincushion.
you can have a violent sexual fantasy and share it with someone you love. That's fine, but they accept it as the norm, and they don't have to ask for consent.
I'm cracking horrible jokes at a serious topic. Yes, you're right, and I know that's the issue. You see this, and it's being presented as the norm, where it's not.
But again, they do it in a way without saying men are evil or porn is evil. They never even bring up porn in this
No, I'm
movie.
talking about pornography.
Yeah, no,
M.F.A. M.F.A. is a classy example
Exactly.
of the rape revenge film. It's not I Spit on Your Grave, where
Right.
it actually
Yeah.
almost seems to showcase everything it's arguing against, just to make the revenge part even sweeter.
Yeah.
This
and
one actually plays with it in a
it
more
does-
sensitive.
Yeah, it doesn't
manner.
even alienate men. It's not even like all
okay.
men are evil, because she
No.
tries to pursue a relationship with Shane. You see Sky, Sky / Daisy, the roommate, trying to move on. Everybody's trying to move on, but you just see the obviously torment and long-lasting effects of obviously, a horrendous crime and, what it does to people.
The best thing that I enjoyed was when the women sit together in their group and the conversation that is had. Now, Carly, I don't know
yes.
if you're at, and I don't mean this at anything towards your age, but I don't know if you and your female friends are at the point where you talk like this. But there is a real conversation that occurs between women of, well, we shouldn't have to tell men they shouldn't rape us. Like, we actually shouldn't have to, like, say to somebody, if someone says no, that means no. It doesn't mean try harder to put your dick in them. Like, that actually means stop. And then there's that conversation of, well, we also need to protect ourselves. And we need to make sure that we are doing what we need to do with the nail polish color and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was a great way of putting in politics and having that discussion between women, because that is a real discussion. And I sit on both sides. I don't think we should have to I think we should teach young men or whoever that there's lines that you shouldn't cross. Common sense. Someone says no, no means no. Consent is consent. But at the same time, as women, we do have to protect ourselves, just like men have to protect themselves as well, depending on the situation. I thought that was really well handled.
Yeah,
What's
and
really
like
difficult is cracking jokes right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, now you
yeah,
can't.
yeah,
Huh?
it's
Like, what are you
serious
gonna
topic.
say?
I can't crack jokes.
Especially for
No.
me, because I'm a joke cracker and I'm liquored up, and I'm
that
really
is
trying
so
hard not to
actually
say
really
anything.
shaking
He's about to
going,
take
right?
advantage of himself.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Just get consent.
I just
get
dropped a finger in my
consent.
butt. Who was that? Who's that?
No, Carly, I really want to hear from
Sorry,
you, because
Carly.
you're probably, I know you have a lot to say about it, I'm sure, and you're probably close to the age of the lead in this film, and who knows the type of people you encounter, and what do you have to say about all this? I'm sure you have a lot going on.
Yeah, it's like weird because I didn't go to a big college university or anything, and I don't, go out partying or anything like that really too much. So it's like I never really know if this stuff actually goes on as much as these movies portray it. So it's interesting hearing, Heather kind of talk about that, and unfortunately saying that it does happen, because I don't have personal experience. So when I see these movies, I'm kind of like, they're making the points, but I don't know if it's being overly exaggerated, which to a point, every movie is exaggerated a little bit. But I think this movie is handled well for the most part. I do see there are some moments where it's like a little too, kind of like Dave said, like nowadays, like any woman can just accuse a guy of rape and usually the cops are going to believe the woman. And in this movie, it feels like, everyone's against the woman. But it just kind of goes both ways because nowadays there are unfortunately girls who will get mad at their boyfriend or mad at somebody after they agree to have sex with them and then say, I'm just going to accuse them of rape and ruin their entire life. So I always see both aspects to it. I don't like being raped would be such a horrible thing. I think I couldn't really put myself in that situation, but I think the best thing to do is to go to the hospital or the cops, not to the school or anything like that. You should just like go as is to the hospital, even though it is very humiliating and, you just feel degraded. But I think that's probably the best way to tackle it nowadays. And like that conversation that they do have in the movie with the whole they're trying to protect themselves, that type of stuff just makes me so, I just kind of cringe because it is unfortunate that that's even a conversation where, oh, we need to have colorful nail polish and like mace and like pocket knives, just all these weapons just to go out and do anything. And that's how people in my real life talk too. Like people I work with all girls and they're like, oh, I carry my mace and like my poker and all that with me. And
Poker.
Like there's like
Like a
poker
fire
thing.
poker?
Fire poker?
Yeah,
No,
like you can get a poker. Like, see, this is what you guys don't have to experience. You can get one on your G-cane where you can hit a man or someone, particularly, I guess, assume a man, but I guess a female could be aggressive too, that's trying to attack you. That's what you're describing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my mom had one. Someone
I thought maybe if you were going somewhere and there's a campfire, you could just like,
You just whip it out and then you do
Oh,
marshmallows too,
fireworks.
and you have everything ready to go.
yeah. Back. No.
a spade, a poker, a shovel.
Yeah.
You got the whole 9 yards.
Whatever.
That is
like
what-
Tuesday
Novel
and
belt,
Friday
actually, yes.
Hey,
Wow, I didn't know. To be now, all joking aside, I had no clue there's such a thing as a part of
and that really is the ridiculous thing. There's so many weapons that are made for women specifically to like keep guys pretty much off of them. And I
We're
just
looking
think
at in Afghanistan, and meanwhile, your purse has weapons of mass destruction.
yeah.
Those are
Pull out
the
a
caliber of
grenade,
joke. I
yeah.
bet.
no, but that said, that it's all put into protecting women rather than educating men.
Yeah,
And it's handled well. It's not saying all men are to blame, but I've experienced this with working in the gym and talking to a lot of women, and it really opened my eyes talking to one woman in particular. And she really told me, how frightened she is being a woman in today's society. This was, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and it opened my eyes because I'm a good guy. None of this would ever be an issue for me. It just wouldn't.
yeah.
It really just wouldn't. It's out of my realm of possibility, and she opened my eyes to it, and I was just like, it's horrible.
I very much like walk around. I don't fear men or anything really happening to me, which I probably should be a little more aware of my surroundings, but I just kind of go through like everyone's always like, oh, when I'm in Walmart, I make sure no one's following me or watching me. I'm just in Walmart like buying my food because I figure there's so many people around. I never really think about that stuff. And I think all women should be able to live that way. I know maybe I sound naive because I'm not looking out for myself as much as others, but I just hate that mentality where all girls think they have to band together and think they have to protect themselves against men when men should just be normal and not do this. And, another thing with this.
Boundaries.
Yeah.
I feel
Just have
naive not
boundaries.
knowing. I don't feel naive not knowing about a portable poker for that.
Yeah, right.
I feel like I'm aware of
True.
what's happening, but
Uh-huh.
I know you'd be carrying around a portable poker.
Well,
Yeah.
we're not supposed to know. We're men.
Exactly.
That's the
yeah,
idea.
exactly. There
we're
you
not
go.
supposed to
Yeah.
know. See? Well kept secret. Bravo.
We carry
Good.
around our own portable.
Now
pokers.
everybody knows.
Should I edit that part out?
yeah. Yeah, all the women are
Oh,
coming
God.
after me, but this movie, JP kind of said that he liked this one but he kind of felt that there were aspects where it made it seem like all men are evil. I didn't really obviously all the men she's
Not this
attacking are evil men, but that's the thing, like all the men she's going after have done bad things. It's not really, of course you do have that sad scene, which actually made me pretty sad when she is kind of connecting with that other clearly nice dude, and then she gets upset when he's like touching her, but that's clearly the result of being raped. So that's to me, that's not saying he's evil. It's just she had that post-traumatic
Yeah,
reaction.
there were some real tragic scenes in this movie. I thought when she was talking to Lindsay, the one who was gang raped.
Mhm.
And then you saw the video of it.
You saw the video of it, but
Right?
also when she's talking to Lindsay, and Lindsay says that she might not be able to have kids, and then she makes the comment, "I don't even know if I wanted kids," and that statement right there, it's not even the point. The point is, it was your choice, and that was taken away from you. And I thought it was handled real well. That it wasn't overly like men are all evil, because she tried to connect, like you said, Carly, with Shane at the end, and he was, is this okay? Is this okay? And then the minute he touches her, she's just automatically brought back to that trauma, and she kicks him out, but he didn't do anything wrong. She's destroyed from what happened.
And then later on, she comes back. And she goes and she sees Shane. She regrets behaving that way to him,
Yeah.
So,
and it's tragic that it's too late at that point because of everything that's unfolded.
The
she
whole
thought
movie is just so tragic. You want it to have a happy ending, but it's like not going to play out.
Yeah, I like to think it ends, where eventually she gets off and she gets to, continue with her life, because I feel like she still can be redeemed from this, because, with the exception of Daisy / Sky killing herself, I feel like, which was heartbreaking. I feel like every guy got exactly what he fucking deserved, and so
And I think the rape scene was very believable. That was an uncomfortable scene, and it wasn't over the top. It was they're kissing, and then he's pushing her down. I know you want it's
and she's not really
hard to watch, and that's I don't want to, but that's what rape looks like.
Yeah.
It's not always spit on your grave and these gangbangs and these slicings and this dramatic. It is a very subtle. He never got consent and just assumed she wanted it. And then when she comes back and says, "I didn't consent," he's like, "Oh, you're crazy. You're crazy. Yeah. You don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy."
Like she is into him at first. She is like wanting it at first, and then he's just going way too fast, and then like she's not speaking up.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, she's not speaking up enough, so he's just like, "Oh, she likes it this way." Yeah. So I thought it was pretty believable as well. Like that's what I would picture a college guy.
And, she's saying no, and she's saying no.
Yeah.
She's not screaming no, but it's done in a way where it's like,
just like, hold on a second, and then all of a sudden,
the acting was exceptionally well done in that scene. Like that must have been a hard scene for them to film, and it was very well done.
I always wonder how they fucking do those scenes.
Yeah, like it must be hard as two people to act that out, right?
You know what I did every time there was a scene like that on film? I quoted Clint Eastwood, since that's her father, and I said, "Get off my lawn." Just from what's
much better than where I thought you were gonna go with that.
Me too.
We'll just be happy that that's what we
I was wondering what we were gonna have.
What movie was that? Gran Torino. Gran Torino.
Say, you know what I say?
Yeah, that was from the trailer.
Oh. I thought that's where it was going. Yeah.
Like the Christine Heimlich.
Christine Heimlich, is that her last name?
I could have given the Heimlich maneuver. I didn't know you were choking.
I also like how she used her sexuality. Like in the beginning, she has that hoodie and she's kind of hidden, and then as it goes on, she dresses more, sexually, visually sexual to men, and she uses that to her advantage to take advantage of these men. And I thought that was a really interesting empowerment of her sexuality. Instead of not dressing like that because you don't want to be a victim, she's dressing like that to be an aggressor.
She's very good. And I think she's gorgeous. I really do.
Yeah.
She's a very beautiful woman. She really,
she's like unique looking.
Yeah, those her eyes. It's just there's something about like her facial structure. She's gorgeous.
And I didn't notice it so much in the beginning, with the way she.
Yeah, you see a transformation afterwards. You do. You do.
And when she put on the pink hair and she did that, and when she became the predator, that was great.
The
Here's
hunted
one question,
becomes a hunter.
Are we just to assume that the girl that she talked to gave her complete descriptions of the three men that raped her? Because their pictures, they even say it in the movie, weren't in the video. You don't get 100% clear shot of any one of their faces. But she goes to this party and immediately knows who they are, like almost right off the bat. So are we just supposed to assume that this girl, they got together and she's, okay, this guy does this, he looks exactly like this, and the other thing. There was something, again, I loved the movie, but that was the only other little nitpick I had. That she
there
was
was
able
a newspaper article that listed their names, so she could have looked up their names from the newspaper article.
Didn't it have their pictures in it too?
It did. Well, it had the video, which you see partial faces, but like Heather says,
why they weren't censored.
they are accused the three names, so she knows who she's looking for. She could have looked up,
Facebook,
the yearbook,
anywhere,
Facebook, a yearbook, and
that's
just,
true. Good point.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's just like what I'm thinking when she first got to that party, the other guy was kind of across the room, and she just kind of looked over at him
Yeah.
and like knew
Yeah,
immediately.
like
Yeah.
Right, but no, that's a good point. Social media, if their names were published, yeah, it's pretty easy. Okay, well, good. You know, this already the conversation's bringing the movie up, and I didn't want it to go up because if it goes up, now all of a sudden it's in contention with my 100. But
You know what? I didn't even think of that.
oh, I did. That's why I suggested it, kind of. That's why when SC was asking us questions, I was listing movies that were on the cusp.
I did notice that. You're like, how about this? How about this? I'm like, aren't these like the last 5 films Dave has to watch first? I did notice that, but
Two birds,
SC
one
is
stone.
Stephen Carpenter for you too, in case you're wondering. The guy that
Yes.
recommended this.
yes,
movie.
a longtime patron and contributor and fan and friend of the.
Two-time patron, long-time contributor.
True.
All right,
Get it right, Brandon. Jesus.
sorry,
Sorry.
sorry.
I also liked how
It's
the
the liquor.
kills progressed. The first one was accidental.
Mhm.
Like she pushed him, he
Oh,
fell,
Oh, that was
and then
great.
it begins to get more vicious. Like till she gets to the final one in the gym, that's
Sure.
pretty vicious. Like
Mm.
she's beginning to escalate and up her confidence with each kill, and you were beginning to see more gore and more intensity. I thought that was interesting with the way she was dressing, the way she started speaking out more, I guess you could say. Her whole development throughout this movie was fascinating. And then throwing it in with her artwork, I thought was
Oh,
a
that was
nice touch.
Yeah. And I also went in blind on this one, and I just expected it to be typical rape revenge where that guy rapes her and then no one believes her and then she like goes after him. I didn't realize it was going to be like this huge like quest that she goes on trying to
Yeah.
get back at these guys that hurt all these women. So I really liked how that played out. Like when that guy does fall off the balcony, I was like, oh wow, okay. So this is going in a different direction.
Is he dead? And then you see that huge
Yeah.
pool of blood, and like
I'm
he's
I
dead.
think he-
The
No.
the cops chasing them, I thought was obviously they're on the case, but I thought maybe it was a little too convenient at the end. It just seemed to wrap up a little too quickly.
Well, Clifton Collins, who plays Detective Kennedy, who is Francesca Eastwood's current husband, in real life, yeah. I think he was portrayed really well, like an intelligent cop who could see from the minute he questioned her that she knows more than she's letting on, which shows very, very obviously, with her, the way she's, fidgeting with her hands, and you could see the nervousness in her. But I love the subtlety of like the commentary. Even when the 3 frat brothers are killed, you see pictures of people mourning them and putting flowers at their gravesite, and I thought that was just a subtle way of showcasing, today's mentality and really the way it kind of is. I really feel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
You're right, but
Yeah.
do you think that guy would have been able to like you're talking about her not seeing faces and then going through Facebook like old school books to track down the guys? He really got a visual shot of her at the end. But do you think he would have been able to point her out to the cops? Like he didn't know her, did he?
No. He didn't have to. The thing is, he woke up at the right time, and the detective has been suspecting her for a while, but she keeps, finding ways to sneak around it. But then,
Eluding,
as
yeah.
soon as he wakes up and says it's this dark-haired girl and kind of describes her, and this, I think he's just like, wow.
I think
That's
Kennedy at
enough for
that
me to
point
go
is
there and
holding
fuck
up a picture of Noelle and being like, "Is this her?"
True.
And he's just going, "Yes." And at that point, I think
That's true.
she's after the death of Sky, she's ready to turn herself in anyway. So I almost feel like it's sort of,
Inconsequential.
yeah, because I never,
she would've just done it?
even though she becomes aggressive and vicious with some of those kills, I never felt like she lost her sense of innocence. I felt like it was all justified, so I never felt like, oh my god, this woman
Right.
needs to be locked up forever.
And
It's
the
No,
tragic.
dude,
side of
I was
Sky-
rooting for her.
Yeah.
When we did the show, the top 17 of 17, I'm not sure that I'm pretty sure that was the year. It made my 17. Brandon
Yeah.
happened to watch it and said, check it out. And I did. And it blew me away. And it was my number 17. It was like the last movie I watched too. And I was like, oh, I got to put it on the list. So I'm just going to put it there for now. And I'll watch it again. I didn't give it the second watch, but I was so blown away by it. What I said on that very show was, this to me, if there was a female Dave Z, this would be it. Because I would be the exact same way. If that happened to me, I would 100% do it. I love that whole idea of trying to rid, all these type of men off the face of the earth. I would do the same. I'm 100% crazy that way, where I would do that. And if that happened to my daughter, you're damn straight I would do the same shit. It's just I can't help it. That's just I get passionate about things like that, and it's sick.
We should hear more stories like this. This will educate men to not do it. If you're seeing the revenge of these men being killed. Yeah.
Well, and also
guys
the
getting
reflection
off.
of Sky dying, right? Like, so when Sky kills herself, that is a murder of rape. That is, I'd rather die than put through the shame of no one believing me. And that's how you educate and not alienate. Because you guys are like, man, this is sad. You weren't angry. You were like, that poor girl, it's easier for her to die than it is for her to relive this again. And that's the beauty of this film. It educated and it presented an issue in a way that wasn't shoving it down your throat. It was saying, hey, here's some realities of what happens. Things need to change. And I really, really appreciate that about this movie, as well as having, some great kill scenes, great character development. The message was there, but it wasn't overwhelming. I thought anyway. I don't know how you feel, Carly.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It wasn't too super in your face and like any like awkward way where it's like unbelievable completely. Another thing I like is whenever that detective goes to that other girl's house who was attacked by the three guys, and he's trying to question her, and she completely just blows him off. She doesn't let him in to like ask her questions or anything. She's like, I don't need to answer any of these questions, and I don't, they're trying to make her look guilty again, and that's another issue that happens. So I think this whole movie really is just played out really well. It's the way that you should get these messages across, and I'm glad I checked it out, because I didn't know about this movie back in 2017 for whatever reason. So
it kind of snuck up. But that comment you made about when he goes to see Lindsay, and she says, for every one of me that tries to come forward, there's a bunch that never do. Go talk to one of them. She's got a very small part in the movie, but the words that come out of her mouth and the things she said are really, really resonate very, very strongly in this film.
Yeah.
And
there's something I didn't quite understand. The amount of female partygoers that were at that house shortly after they knew that house had a reputation of these three guys raping a girl. I don't think that they'd be able to host parties anymore.
You know what, though?
You would think that, but yeah.
You would
Some
think
women
that,
would still go.
Exactly.
Would you go? Want a party?
I would not, but I
would not
that
either.
doesn't mean that other women wouldn't, because in that time, though, you want to go and be cool. Like, what if there's a guy there you really like? Okay, I just won't talk to those guys. Or maybe she did deserve it. Like, it talked about, this is true. Women are not supportive of each other. Like, that's what I like that they exposed. Like,
girls
that
hate
girl's
sluts.
a slut. Well, that's
Girls
what she
hate
gets for
sluts.
being a slut. She probably wanted it. Look at how she dresses. Like, girls get jealous if another girl's prettier than them. They walk into the room and they scan, okay, who's the hottie? Who do I need to watch out for? So like, that's real. And
Excellent.
I think they did a good job exposing that, and why I agree with you, Dave. I wouldn't go to that party, but I could see why chicks would.
They said that line,
Yeah.
girls hate sluts, and it just showed, it just even added more to the film that it's not only, criticizing men who do the crime, but criticizing women who ignore the women who, bring forth the allegations of this crime, because they'll just say, oh, she's just a slut,
And that's inconsequential, though. I mean, a quote-unquote slut. What if she was? What if she did sleep around? Doesn't make a difference. What if that girl had a reputation for fucking 50 guys before she went to that party? It doesn't mean that she wants to be triple teamed by three.
Exactly. But
Absolutely.
women and men alike would still be like, oh, well, she's lying, because that's her. That's the way she is. Even though, the one time she says no, that she's saying no, and that's, you have to respect her for that, but it's not,
It doesn't always happen
like
that way.
There was a girl that I was friends with on Facebook. I didn't really know her in real life, but she went to my school, and she's like a stripper now, and she posted on Facebook this one day a picture of this guy and said, does anyone know where this guy is? Like, he came over to my house to like smoke with me, and he raped me like the entire night. And I was just like shocked. Every comment was like people telling her like, oh, you're like a known prostitute, you're a stripper, like you're lying, I was just shocked. Like, this girl, she wasn't well respected. I didn't really, like I said, I didn't know her personally, but I was just like, the point, like, this could have happened, and you guys are all calling her a liar. There was probably like maybe 2 or 3 people that were on her side, and that was like the first time I ever saw like something like that play out in real life, and I was like, wow, this actually is an issue, because they're just saying, oh, she's a stripper, so of course she made a dumb decision, so this guy deserved to rape her pretty much, and she's just lying about it. So
And it doesn't matter. Yeah, you're right, Carly. And if she said yes a bunch of times and she said no that night, she said no.
yeah,
And that's what it's getting to, and that's what Dave's talking about. It's a great point that this movie examines.
Yeah, and sleep with anyone you want, but try to keep that business to yourself. I'm not saying,
yeah.
because that's what happens. Girls that get a reputation end up becoming prey to predators because they think, well, okay, this is going to be an easy lay. I'm at a party. I'm going to go upstairs and go in this bedroom. She's going to fuck me. She doesn't say no to anybody. Well, maybe she does say no sometimes.
But shouldn't we
and
put it
maybe
on the guy
reputation-
that he shouldn't think that, though? Like, just because a girl says yes to everyone, that she shouldn't have to hide that. A guy doesn't hide it. A guy doesn't have to pretend like he hasn't fucked everything, right? Like, it's kind of a double standard.
Mhm.
No, I'm not saying that the guy should do that. I'm just saying that is, that's how some guys think that those guys are insecure themselves. They see someone that oh, even I can have sex with her. So that's what they go for that because they have. And I'm not. What I'm saying is,
you're saying if someone's going to be aggressive, they might choose a woman that they think that's an easy prey.
Right, and if you get a reputation, that will make you an easy prey. That's all I'm saying. I say sleep with whoever you want to, of course. But the way I speak to my daughter now, when you get older, keep what you do in the bedroom your business and try not to get that reputation because of it. Does it suck? And is it a double standard? Yes, 100%. But the fact is, it's reality. And I know how guys think because I'm a guy.
And that goes back to
and I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right to have a predatory. Of course it's wrong. But it's just it's hormones, and that's the difference between men and women. That's how that guy himself may have problems of his own. Not that I'm making excuses. I'm just saying all his friends are getting laid, and they're bullying him. Hey, how come you haven't gotten laid? Well, go bang Bridget. She's an easy lay. Go after her. You know what I mean? And that's what gets in their head, and that's a result of them fucking with him, and then she is a result of maybe who knows what happened to her to get her that way. So it's like both sides have issues, the male and the female, and it's just. It needs to be examined.
That goes back to educating the awareness group about how they're talking about these ways to protect themselves rather than, feeling like they should be free to just do whatever they want and say no and be respected for that. Because the minute she entered Luke's bedroom, immediately then, nobody's going to question her. She went into the bedroom with him. But she, people will say right from that point, she shouldn't have gone in the bedroom with him. Which unfortunately is almost true today. Like you have to educate young women to like not even put yourself in that position, but it sadly shouldn't be that way. Mm-hmm. It should be men who should be respectful. And if you're not comfortable with this, okay, But I think it's really well done. It's just
It's a good film, I think, for young women and young men to see, to educate them on how proper conduct should happen moving forward, on how you should present yourself with respecting someone's boundaries. Absolutely. Like, that's really what it comes down to, with some excellent character development and dialogue. And even the ending when she's doing the valedictorian speech. Like, what a great speech, right?
Great.
Like,
yes.
Man. And at least a cop let her finish. So I guess that was
might be the best part of the movie, that speech, that whole talking about art and how it it saves us from the brutality of life, and then that don't preserve the beauty, expose the truth part of the speech. Really just well done, very poetic, and I love the ending. I love her getting in the car. I love the smirk on her face. I just really, really, really well done film.
Dave, this may help with your list, your top 100 list. We've talked about it. We all seem to be in agreement that it's a great movie. Is it a horror film?
Oh, good question.
Oh.
It's not.
Really? You don't think it's a horror film?
What would you consider it?
It's a horror. Like it would be a thriller.
It's horrific.
Thriller, drama, thriller. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then what is Last House on the Left and all those other rape revenge movies? They're not horror films?
That would be more done in that's sensationalist, and unfortunately then leads, the way it's presented leads more into a horror film aspect, almost the way it's been presented. This is
Kind of
presented.
agree.
There's a revenge element here, but I don't think this is a horror film.
I kind of agree with C, even though I think M.F.A. is horror. I agree with him, about the other films being
Horrific.
sensationalized and, turned into horror films, cutting the dick off, this and that, and all that, just the over the top. Whereas
explicit.
this is educational and, almost definitely dramatic, thriller. I do think, yeah, of course, it's horrific elements, but I understand where she's coming from. I still call it a horror film, but I'm basing my top 100 on enjoyment, and I don't, love rape revenge films. They're not, not like,
It's hard to say, yeah.
Let's
It's
throw on a rape revenge.
Except if you're JP. JP says he.
Look, some of them are done good as well, but the best
I
part
love this
of
one,
rape,
though.
the best part of rape revenge films is that usually the victim
revenge.
becomes empowered and exactly,
Right.
It's the revenge.
Obviously not the rape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
look at
but the thing
Irreversible. It's probably the most uncomfortable, rape
And
film.
it's not even right. That's just a rape. It's not a rape revenge film.
Well, it's revenge for the friends, the guys. But the way they
True, but
shot
that's
that
not
and the way they filmed that backwards makes it just twice as
True,
hard to.
but that's not the story. That's not the story of Irreversible about somebody getting revenge for a rape. At least that's not what I got out of it. Maybe I'd have to see it again to do that. But I mean, this movie, I like this because this is my favorite because I identify with the lead more than any other movie, and I like the method that she uses. She becomes a predator, and she goes out and says, "It's vigilante justice. I'm gonna rid the world of these freaking type of people because no one else is doing anything but this bullshit. I'm gonna take matters into my own hands and freaking go kill these dudes." And I like that. I like I said, she's a female Dave Z. I do the same thing if I was a woman and that happened to me. So
Well, if she's the female
like.
Dave Z, then I love the female Dave Z.
Should she be on the show?
Yeah, we see.
It is listed. Horror is listed second on IMDb. So I mean, I was just throwing it out there. Maybe that would help your list.
I see your argument, even though I still consider it hard. But I totally see your, perspective because it is tamer than 99% of the rape revenge films. It's presented in a more educational,
It
I don't
depends
know.
on how you describe it.
Presentable
Like,
manner.
rape itself is horrific, but
Yes.
the way the movie's presented is where I'm going. How
well, the
how
rape
movie's
aside,
presented.
even if it
Yeah.
wasn't a rape, what if he just beat her ass up and there was not a rape? He just brought her in the room and whatever,
Yeah.
smashed her
See,
face or something.
Revenge. The movie Revenge was more because of the extreme that
I
movie
love
went.
that movie.
That one, I think, dips more its foot into the horror realm a bit more so. This one, I think, was more thriller. I mean, again, it's walking a fine line here, and
Yeah,
you
but
can argue either way.
you're following a killer the whole movie. Usually a horror movie, that's what happens. You follow the killer. You see it through the eyes of the killer. In thrillers, you don't necessarily see through the eyes of the killer. You see through the eyes of the victims more than anything. Usually one victim in particular. In this movie, you're seeing, you're following the killer. Even though she is assaulted, she becomes the killer. But I mean, that's who you're following. That's why it's more horrific to me than,
Yeah.
And I had
And
to
it's-
say, the girl in Revenge, her personality, I like this girl more. So, I mean, yes, I guess I would say Revenge is probably my favorite rape revenge film. But my favorite character, killer in rape revenge is this one here.
It's weird because revenge is also sensationalized. So this is really the only rape revenge film I could think of recently that's not. It's almost more for educational purposes to understand the the psychology of what men and women are thinking,
And the
Yeah,
reality.
why can't it
of
be
what
both?
happens.
and the reality of it,
Yeah.
rather than sensationalizing the kills, castrating men, raping women, then coming back, raping them again, then coming back and raping them again, like in I Spit on Your Grave. It's just, I mean, those are brutal and hard to watch, but this is more true to life, which makes it even more disturbing.
I
It was
almost want
just-
it to be
it's
a
disturbing,
thriller,
sure.
so more people watch it.
Yeah.
I
What's
want
that?
it to
I'm
be
sorry,
a
Heather.
thriller, so
Yeah.
more people watch it.
Yeah.
Because I think people will take it more seriously. I don't really know where I stand on the definition of it. I think Christian's made some really good points, but I just want people
That's
to
a
watch
first.
this movie. I just want everyone to see this. I think it should be shown.
Yeah.
So whatever
I
we
agree.
need to call it to make someone watch it, make them watch it, right? That's
Slap
my
Yeah, they should
comedy.
definitely. They should
Yeah,
definitely.
not a comedy. Not a comedy.
No, not
Not
at
a-
all.
For the makers of Airplane, M.F.A.
Oh no.
It's an odd title too for the
Don't
film.
call me Roger.
Because a lot of people, like the minute you post M.F.A, are like, "What's M.F.A?" They don't realize it's
Right.
Masters of Fine Arts, which
Why
is the
did- that's what
degree
it-
she's.
I didn't realize that the whole time. I was
Yeah,
like,
a lot of
dumbass.
people
I was like,
don't.
oh, okay.
which
I
is
didn't
the
know
degree
either.
she's
Yeah.
pursuing. So it probably why it slipped by most people in 2017. You would never even think M.F.A. What is that?
You know what they're watching? MIA or whatever that one is that when you try to find this one, it's the one that's on Netflix and it looks like a possessed app or something like that. I don't know. Trust me,
I know
every time I look, it's like, is this
Yeah.
the movie they kept talking about? No, it's
Yes, some of those films just slip by. Unfortunately, this one I think slipped by a lot of people, but hopefully more people check it out. It's
You know what it
It's
is?
got a lot to say.
It's kind of
But-
like Megan is Missing in a way. Would you consider Megan is Missing a horror movie? To me, that's educational.
but
In
that-
that movie, go ahead. What's he?
it's just that goes into areas that are absolutely that plays out like a horror film more.
Yeah.
It does play out like a horror film, but like I say, it is educational. Like I said on the show before, I wanted to show that movie to my daughter, but if I held back, I wanted to show this movie to my daughter, but I only saw it once, so I did not show it to her last night because I had to see the way things went down again. And it's the same thing. These are two movies that I would like my daughter to see and take something from. Two
Yeah,
different
Megan-
You
movies.
should definitely
Megan-
show your daughter one day, Dave, this movie.
Yeah.
I plan
Yes.
to now.
I think that's great. I think any young lady should see this before she goes to university or college, to be honest with you. Or men. I think this is something
Sure,
that I've
them
encouraged.
too.
You know,
I thought that
right?
Yeah. I thought that way about Megan is Missing too
Education.
when I first saw that. I was like,
Right.
young girls should be seeing this too, especially because I don't think there was nudity in that.
No,
I
but
thought
there
it
was a
but it
lot
was
of
her-
Girls
it
in
wa-
young
frickin'
girls having
barrels with-
sex
oh
and-
my
But
God.
that one
Well,
was
that
like,
too.
hey, that's horrific and terrifying. That's a straight up horror film, whereas this one's much more educational. I felt
Right.
than
Yeah.
even Megan is Missing.
But that was my comparison. That's how it
No,
popped
but
in my
both.
head.
I think
About
both. If-
Education.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Megan is Missing as well?
I haven't seen
I
it.
have not.
Oh,
Not
what?
not
Oh,
not an easy film.
Now
to
I
get
better go
through,
watch
but
it.
Worth seeing. Without
nothing
a doubt, worth
like
seeing.
this. It's more about the dangers of online predators and meeting people online
Yeah.
and what could, especially for teenage girls, and what could happen.
Yeah,
And
you're
it does.
you're
Be
dealing with
warned.
young
The
girls,
last
too.
20 minutes are really,
Brutal.
really tough to watch. So I'll
Okay.
tell you that before you watch it. But highly recommended.
And
I'll tell you
they're
that.
really young in that film. They're what, 13, 14 in that film? They're
Yeah,
like,
they're
very
very
young
young.
teenagers. But
And it's from
yeah.
the makers of Naked Gun. So not quite as funny as this film, but it has its moments.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it like Meatballs? Would you say that it's
Yeah.
up there in that category?
Although I watched Meatballs last
I
night.
know, that's why I
and
brought it up.
There's a scene in there that I'm like, they would never get away with this today.
I think most of Meatballs they wouldn't get away with.
Bill
it.
Murray wrestling with the girl, and then he's like jumping all over, and she's like, "Get off me!" And he flips her on top of him, and she's like, "What was comedy gold way back when?" He's like, "You get off me!" And the guy walks in and sees it and everything like that. I'm like, "Wow, that doesn't play well."
Wow, that description. If I wasn't so intoxicated, I'd probably have a massive erection right now.
Keep on
It's gonna
drinking.
be an exciting movie that you guys are going to produce one day. I can't wait for it.
And Dingo
Ideas
comes
are
home.
flowing.
It's the working
Mandingo comes home.
The second movie is what it's going to be all about. The first movie is going to be we have an idea for it, and all the ideas we have wouldn't work in that movie. The second movie is going to be ridiculous and full of stuff. The third movie is going to be the serious movie.
I want to
That's
skip
my-
right through the
Is it going
second
to be
movie.
at TIFF, Christian? Are you going to have it at the Toronto International Film Festival?
We got to make it first.
Okay. Well, when it gets there, I want tickets.
Hell yeah, you might be in the
So do
movie.
I.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I'd love to be in the movie. I love it.
You might be. We'll see what we
I've
we
done
have to.
some acting and gone to acting school just to put that out there.
Oh, no
Hey.
way, because this is a mature shower. This is going to be.
Okay.
I call it
I'm
Desperate
afraid
Service
to
3.
tell these guys that I don't want to be in the movie because I can't act. I went to screenwriting school, studied screenwriting for a while, but I don't
He's
want to
fucking
be in front of
drunk.
the camera. I am pretty drunk.
You're pretty drunk. Huh?
All right,
Like it, living it
dude,
up.
I'm pretty pretty lit right now.
Smile
Did
that
we
he
rate
has
this bad
on.
boy?
Yeah,
Here goes Christian. I'm not drunk enough to not notice that Christian's trying to rush the show along.
No. We talked about it. Is it horror? Is it not? It'll be.
else is
Is it
that?
horror A?
It's
That's the Canadian
horrific.
version.
It's horror to me, but
Is it horror A?
Canadian version that's coming out.
was that the Canadian version? Did you rate me A?
Oh my
Oh.
God. Oh.
I said nay.
Horse girl?
What?
Oh, boy.
What'd you say, Dave?
I said horse girl because you said nay.
Oh, Horse
Oh.
Girl. Horse Girl's a good
I-
movie.
Donkey girl was better. Although the horse
I saw
lasted
that, I
long.
saw that post about Donkey Girl.
I'm sorry. When I see that title, horse girl, I can only think of one thing. I'm sorry.
I love Alison Brie, so check out the film.
That's Jessica. What's her name? Sarah
Parker?
Jessica Raphael. No, yeah, Parker.
Sarah Jessica Raphael, Sally Jesse Raphael. Sarah
Oh,
Jessica-
you're saying she looks like a horse?
Two girls. We're
What?
going from Sex in the City.
Sarah
Oh, I
Jessica-
said the long
Sarah
face.
Jessica
Oh,
Parker.
Sarah
Yeah.
Jessica Parker. You can go Sarah Jessica Parker or Hilary Swank for Horseface.
Oh my God.
Too soon?
I like
Sorry.
Hillary Swank.
Shit.
It's the liquor talk.
The liquor's almost gone.
I know, right? Look at this guy.
He's sucking the juice out of that drink.
Isn't he though?
Alright, I'm not
I
drinking
don't
that.
move it
Hurry
along.
up before we
Does
get to the
anybody
refill.
have anything else to add before?
Yes, I want to
Wrap
keep the
that up.
conversation going just to make you uncomfortable.
no.
Kristen.
It's
Make me
Mrs. Z's birthday. It's my
Happy
wife's
birthday,
birthday.
Mrs.
Happy birthday.
birthday.
I will tell her that. Thank
Yes.
you, thank you. When
Wish
she
her
gets
a
out of,
happy
she's
birthday
getting out of work.
to all of us.
She's
I will.
leaving
She's getting
now.
out of work
I'm 30%
right now.
scheduled.
She'll be here in half an hour, and I'm gonna, gift her. So there
Prepped.
you have it.
Just get consent before you gift her.
Yeah.
He's
Wait
gonna
till you
knight
see
her.
what I'm getting her. Oh, well, I'll have a picture up. Believe me, it's something really cool.
Nice.
I gave her something
Very
really cool last night. Anyway, let's not. No, nothing that.
There's
No,
too many
go-
sexual undertones in everything you're saying right
I
now.
thought
I
that's
didn't
what
want to
you
get too into the
meant.
weeds. No. It's a gold dipped rose. It was beautiful.
Oh, that is very nice.
That's actually
Yeah.
something
I thought
very
you were
romantic.
frog fucking her or something like that.
Frog
Did a weird, really
What
weird.
the hell is frog fucking?
I'm a gentleman. I am a gentleman. Despite all the talk I've said on this episode about different things, at the end of the day, I'm a gentleman.
I
do.
think you're a gentleman, Dave.
I think we're all
Thank
gentlemen.
you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Heather.
I think you're all great. I would have been on the show if I didn't think so. Right?
Oh,
I
you
love
think
Brandon. Going,
that-
I think we're all gentlemen. Like he
No, I need this.
think we're all
I need
gentlemen.
reassurance because I
Validation.
kind of don't remember, but I think we were all gentlemen during this review.
Yeah, it was all right. Yeah.
Oh, Carly, I just sent you 10 movies.
Thank you, Brandon. You
Really?
knew I was gonna come on here and bully
I
you.
owed Carly a copy
10?
of Last House on the Left on Blu-ray that I've had for about a year and a half that I've been meaning to mail out to her. And so
Oh.
lazy. I finally did it yesterday because I knew she was coming on the show today. And I threw in like 9 extra movies that I had laying around just to be like, here you go.
all rape revenge movies.
Oh, yeah.
Are these still videos? Or are they, like,
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh,
But yeah,
good
I
times.
appreciate that. You did not have to send all those, but I am glad you
Signed
finally
by
sent
Brandon.
that
You,
Blu-ray.
you deserve it for being so patient.
I wasn't even worried about getting it. It was just like every 6 months you would be like, Carly, I'm putting that in the mail on Monday. And then I would be at my mailbox like, oh boy. And then it just,
Oh, that makes
it
me
was
feel
so
even
bad.
worse. I'm terrible. Like
It's okay.
It's awful. Like the post
know.
office is 2 seconds away.
this is why I don't sell anything online or offer to mail anyone anything though, because I'm too lazy to do that too.
Yeah.
So like, I just don't do it.
That's why I used to use Amazon.
That's what I do. If I send someone a gift, I just buy it on Amazon and send it to their
That's the way to do it.
There's
Yeah.
just one little thing. Ratings for the movie.
FTR. Right.
Ladies, go ahead.
FTR. How about an
You go first.
FTR on M.F.A?
FTR,
Right.
final thoughts. FTNR, final thoughts in ratings.
All right. So anyway, yeah, this movie I think is very good. Very, like we all said, educational, very believable of what's going on. And for a first time watch, I really, enjoyed it. I think everything's handled very well in it. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10.
Nice.
Nice.
I don't know if it's a horror or not, and to be honest, I don't care. I think everyone should watch it, and I think it's great. 10 out of 10. I think I've proven my point throughout the
Wow,
conversation.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Love that.
Wow.
I'll keep the order the same. Again, I brought the horror thing up only because Dave was wondering about his list that he's finalized. It doesn't matter one way or the other. It should be seen. I like the movie quite a bit. 8.5 out of 10 as well. I'm right there with Carly. And definitely check it out. If you can find it, it looks like in the States it might be on Prime, but in Canada, you got to buy it on Apple iTunes, whatever the fuck.
iTunes.
Yeah,
I have a real nice Blu-ray. I have a nice Blu-ray. It's a double feature, and it's Tragedy Girls and M.F.A.
Oh, that's a good one.
Damn, right on.
What? And you too?
Yeah, and me too. 8.5 out of 10. I went up a little bit with this conversation. I was at an 8. Now, because it's 8.5, now I'm going to have a problem with my top 100, but it's a problem I'm happy to have. So it's okay. Great movie, and I'm glad we got to watch it again.
And I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I think it's just really well crafted and put together and more educational than sensationalized. And, hats off to the cast because I think it was just terrific. So 9 out of 10. I know it just falls short of the Hall of Fame, but maybe a Dave Z second watch will bump that up.
A third watch? Maybe.
He's
Third
going to be
watch,
in La La Land in about 2
He's
minutes.
gonna be past
Dude.
it soon.
Is it that bad? Is it that bad?
I love it. I fucking love it.
I'm trying to like pretend like nothing's going on whatsoever, but dude, like I was pretty heavy-handed with the pours, and I'm pretty lit right now.
Good for
This
you,
is why I
buddy.
try not to drink much on shows.
No, I don't like to drink when I'm doing the show because I still want to be,
There,
informative and, not be embarrassing myself, but I definitely am
No,
feeling
this is
a
good.
little, woo.
You're not embarrassing yourself. It's great.
Okay,
Yeah.
as long as the words are coming out how I'm hearing them in my head.
Yes.
They're not.
Words are coming out.
If it makes you feel any better, you embarrass yourself either way, sober or not.
There you go, Carly with the real talk.
Carly,
with
that's
the real
true.
talk.
I
Well
bring
done,
them to
Carly.
him.
Carly
Nice.
wins the joke of the night there.
And they all came on camera. Everybody's here. We tried to get Lacey. We tried to tell Jamie last week to do it, and they're like, no.
I
And what
did
are we
my
gonna
hair,
do?
and I got ready early just to go on this.
I
Like,
did too,
it's
actually.
Saturday
I
morning. usually
showered,
not
I put on my
functioning by
makeup.
noon, but yeah, see,
Wow.
right there,
I
like let's do
guarantee
this.
none of us are wearing pants. That's
Oh,
just the way we do the show.
Oh, that's a shame. Good. Too bad no
Pants.
one's
I'm not even wearing underwear.
Oh, man.
Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you had a good time.
Oh
I
yeah.
had a great time. This was awesome. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
I was talking to Brandon and Dave.
Oh yeah.
We know
Sorry.
Brandon had a good time.
Right
No,
on.
I really did have a great time tonight. I'm not just saying that because I'm all liquored up. I did have a great time.
Holding in the
I
love
love
you guys
Women in
speech.
Horror Month. I think
Tonight.
it's a great thing tonight.
As long as I feel the same way tomorrow morning, that's all I care about. Okay, I just want to be hearing this stuff
I'm
tonight,
gonna
and then
be
tomorrow-
asleep by 4:30. Oh God,
Nice.
Dave, take it away, cause I'm.
All right. Yeah, it was a great time. Thank you both very much for joining us. It was awesome. Some great conversations. Whew, that
Good
last one
films.
was
I think
yeah.
three solid films too.
yeah.
One thing I always say about the Exploding Head fans is they pick good films. They really haven't like intentionally hit us with something that's shitty. Like unfortunately they do on 22 Shots sometimes.
It's because we're not assholes. Okay, maybe we are a little bit.
I mean, I didn't say that about 22 Shots.
Oh, I didn't. I don't mean it that way.
No, I know what you mean.
I'm just playing. Shit.
Watch,
yes,
our next
so,
show will be a shot on video show.
shot on
I could not do it. I
don't think I
know
could
if
do it
Dave
either.
does.
I
I
think
can't.
Thank you.
I can't do shot on video.
I
I
can't.
gotta ask him how he does it. I cannot do shot on video films.
No.
I
Thanks
hate-
for reminding me. I'm gonna put up that slit wrist post now.
Slit-
That
Yeah,
expired.
opinion?
I'm gonna share it, Dave. So please make sure you do it
Yes,
today.
make it public.
Get on it.
Yeah, make it public.
I will. I just gotta find a razor to do it with. But yeah,
It's
help me.
just kind of fun.
I don't know if I have a razor like that just laying around. Oh, I don't know. We'll see.
Your wife
Um,
doesn't have a razor. She doesn't shave her
I don't know.
legs?
I'll ask her.
Yeah, there you go. See,
I don't watch her. I don't know what she does. I don't know if she has a
That's
disposable, if she has a.
she
You
just
know what I
comes
mean?
out looking perfect, right? Like you just see her all the time, and she looks great. Yeah.
What?
Yes.
You kicked out there. I didn't hear that.
Who? Me?
Oh yeah,
Heather-
maybe I
Heather
was just
kicked
on
out
my
or
end.
Dave kicked out.
Dave kicked out. I thought he said something after.
I don't think he responded.
It's okay. I'm saying goodbye at the end of the show, but not exactly the end of the show. Why don't you ladies tell us what's going on in your very near future on your
Yeah.
shows? I know you got
Plug
things to
yourselves, or
promote.
if you want us to plug you, let us know. I had to. That was completely intentional. I had to. I'm sorry.
It was good. It was good.
That was awesome.
The intentional. I don't know if that makes it better or worse.
As long as there's
Well,
energy
no, because you don't think it's the liquor then. It was intentional. It was like pre-planned.
Well, my episode of Friday Nightmares with Scott Crawford just got released this afternoon. He sent me a message to let me know that it's out there. So we talk about slashers from the 80s. We talk about the political influence of slashers during the 1980s and the early 2000s, as well as a history. And I'm also on It's Not Horror Okay, which is a commentary. It's fun. Just listen to it. And I occasionally
Good
make
plug.
appearances on NFW and I don't know, any horror podcast that asks me to come on. You ask me, I'll show up. So that's basically how it goes down.
When you said NFW, we knew you would definitely show up to anything.
You knew right then and there. Obviously, I'm willing to do whatever it takes.
Love you, Veal.
Veal.
Yeah. On His and Hers podcast I do with JP, we actually just released an episode last night, episode 6, where we discuss Jeremy Gardner's new film After Midnight, and we also do a little mini review of the original My Bloody Valentine, which we had Austin and Andrew Schroyer come on just for that segment because they happened to see it with us. So that just released, and coming up on Celluloid Dissections, which we'll be recording on Tuesday, I believe. We're going to be doing the Wild Bunch, tackling a Western, and then, yeah, lastly, I'm not sure when Movie versus Movie is recording next, but, you know, sometime in this month, we're going to cover Texas Chainsaw Massacre original versus remake. So that is all I have going on.
Nice.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Nice.
I just have one question. Who is the his on the His Her show?
Haven't figured that out yet.
Who's really running the show? Nice.
Lame
So, yeah.
question. I had.
We're not sure what we're doing on our next show. We know that one thing we do know is that we're going to be covering what are those episodes of what? Hammer Horror Theater or something?
House,
Is that what it was called?
House of Hammer Horror? No.
Yeah.
Something like that. Anyway.
Hammer's House of
MC's
Horrors.
MC's House of Hammer.
Did you have a good time?
I had a great time.
Can you call us in the
loved,
morning?
I loved Women in Horror Month. I thought it was terrific. I thought we covered all great movies. I thought we had great conversation. I'm really proud of these two shows.
Yeah, you guys.
Yep.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Great
Thank you.
And by any time, I mean only when we invite you.
Fine, I get it.
We don't need more Watsons. That's
Yeah, that's why we have to do that.
Overstaying the welcome.
There's only one Watson.
This is
And
true.
I mean that in a good way. He takes it the wrong way.
Love
in the rump.
Watson.
I
think-
Oh my
I mean
God.
it nicely. I mean it nicely.
I love him so much, and he gets so mad at us when we make fun of him. We're bringing him up every show because we love talking about him.
Exactly.
so upset at us.
We didn't
You're
like him.
obsessed
You would
with
never
him.
hear
You
us
have a crush
talking
on
about
him.
him.
Like, I'm kind of wondering.
Now let's really get out of here. As usual, we don't know how to wrap up a show, and anyone that listens to us knows that. So,
Christian, turn out the lights.
yeah, turn out the lights. Peace out.
Peace.
Wow, he did. Love you.
The L seat's
Goodbye.
free.